to Game Changers World Championship. I am your host, Yingsu. We brought you a taste of what this competition could be already, but it's time to move on to our second match of the day. It is G2 Gozen versus X10s Sapphire. And as you can see, guys, we have a new face on the desk. Athena, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here, excited to watch the games, and I'm ready for this next matchup.
Yeah, I can't wait to get some of your insight as well. As an IGL, I'm very accomplished pro player in the scene too. But speaking of accomplished, we got to talk about G2 Gozen. Kakuka, you and I have waited for this moment for a long, long time.
I've been doing this breakdown for 2 years, you know. I've been talking about G2 for too long, but this is the moment that we've been waiting. As you said, Yinsu, this team, the experience that they brought in, this 5 players, actually with that 3-player core that has been so significant into EMEA. But what happened there at the end, all that dominance that they've been having over 3 series in a row, disappeared and crumbled under the pressure and under GuildX.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of crazy that they didn't end up being the #1 seed for sure, but I think coming into this tournament, they definitely do have the LAN experience that a lot of these teams don't actually have. Like, they can go forward, go hard hitting, and we say it a lot, like, within our teams, that when you are playing at LAN, you kind of have to just run at them, because there's no sound. The sound isn't the same. And so, like, I'm really excited to see how these teams perform, especially at LAN.
I mean, let's talk about that, because Mimi in the press conference last night said people are underestimating our LAN performance and how much experience we have at LAN, because there's so much pressure there, Athena. You know, talk me through the kind of pressure that these players might be facing if they've never played a LAN event before.
I mean, there's so much pressure. I mean, there's cameras in your face, there's people in the audience, you can see, you know, the lights kind of flashing past you. Like, there is definitely a huge physical kind of connection to like a nervous entity that you might have. And then with the mental as well, you know, you can kind of see your opponents on the other side. And obviously the mental game kind of comes in when people are like yelling like, yeah, let's go. I mean, I saw C9 having like a really fun time with it. And like, you know, just having these girls kind of going crazy on the other side, it's part of the mental game that also like pertains to like the emotional and mental challenge that comes to LAN.
Like, let's be honest about this. We've been waiting for this LAN a lot, but I think that the G2 Gozen girls have been waiting way more than us, because we're talking about 3 years, 2 to 3 years without that experience that they had been having for a very long time. They were macerating. Talking to them, they just want to go back on the stage. Like, of course, I agree with Mimi on that statement, especially because maybe people are looking down on them after their last performance, but this is their moment to thrive. This is their natural habitat.
I mean, as we saw in that graphic just now, Petra, Giuliano, and Mimi, they have a combined FPS experience, I think, of 37
that
years.
Is insane.
Yeah, which is still less than Vansili has been alive on this planet, by the way. But it's not just the veteran players we got to talk about, because Kakuka, I think Mary has got to be one of the fan favorites coming into this as well.
Completely. Coming in with the MENA representation, Mary has been literally shining from the moment that she joined G2, and she had very big shoes to fill in. We're talking about Zaz. That was part of that core as well. She decided to step down, and it was a very hard task for G2 to find another player that could be the mini Zaz that has been the title that has been given to Mary.
Yeah, I mean, Mary has been such an insane player across the board, no matter what role she's kind of been playing in. Even if she is in that support role, she's still popping off, like giving us those numbers in a game. And I think that, especially for such a young player, is such an insane skill to have.
And that we have, right?
Literally the youngest player in the entire tournament. She is just doing like an amazing job so far, and so I'm really excited to see how she does at LAN, especially with like the veterans beside her, and see how that kind of goes.
Yeah, and also Glance, another person that was kind of filling, you know, Kakuka, this hole we used to talk about EMEA as G2's 5th, because they kept kind of flip-flopping throughout the last 2 years.
Yeah, totally. I think that they had Anya also, who was already on Guild, and Glance was the one that they took from GuildX, and they were like, nah, you're coming with us. It actually really suited her, but let's keep talking about Mary. We can take a look at her stats, but you should, I hope that we have interviews with her. You should know her personally. She is a superstar. She's a 16-year-old that's not afraid of anything.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I met Mary for the first time in this tournament, like in the hotel a couple of days ago, and I have never met a 16-year-old with this much confidence. And Athena, that is what you need, especially considering that she doesn't have the veteran experience that the other 3 girls have.
Exactly. I mean, I love that. I mean, just knowing that you have a personality that's somewhat louder, bubblier, confident, you always need that staple in a team because they can always like drive your team forward. And like she's just so young and she brings all of that, so I think that that's awesome.
I think it's a perfect fit because she came into a winning team already. She had all the potential and she had the perfect base. She's just like, okay, this is how it looks when we win. This is what it is to be G2. And I think that the experience of losing that last series is the best thing that could have happened to them.
How big of an advantage do you guys think this is? Because it does feel like it is the almost like pocket kind of rocket of G2 having this many years of experience. How much are they going to have to rely on that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think for G2, it's kind of a given that they're going to be able to perform just because they have had that experience before. So I kind of wonder for X10 how it's kind of going to go in that aspect. But I think for sure it's definitely a plus, and it's a big one in my opinion.
Ginny, Muffin, and Baby TC also have a LAN experience, but definitely not on the level that these girls do. Although Ginny is a very experienced player. We're going to talk about her in a bit, but I think, of course, it is a huge advantage, and knowing that all of the rest of the pieces fit so well, I think that, of course, it's going to be something. But remember, it's been a long time. Many things have changed. This is a different game. We talk about LAN experience, about FPS experience, but not LAN experience in this FPS. So we'll see.
I mean, we've talked about Mary a lot, and speaking of young players, we got our resident Zoomer, Mimi, sitting down with Ender for a chat with Giuliano and Mary.
Hi there, it's Mimi and Ender, and we're sitting down with two of G2's players, Mary and Giuliano. Welcome, and thanks for sitting down with us. The first thing I wanted to ask, Mary, for you is at 16, you are the absolute youngest player in the tournament. You are like the youngest possible player that could even be competing in Game Changers. And with so many players, including your teammates and people you're competing against, being so experienced, is there anyone at this tournament that you maybe looked up to when you were kind of on your come up in competitive FPS?
So basically, before I could have like competed in the start, I looked up to G2, obviously. G2 goes and, you know, and I saw how they were playing and I saw how they play as a team and all that. So I think if there were players, they would beat them because they have the most experience out of everyone in the tournament.
Yeah. And Giuliano, what's it been like playing with someone who's like looked up to you in earlier parts of your career like that?
I mean, it's super cool. I think that when, like, throughout my entire career, I've always like trained players and had young players join my team, but Mary came from absolutely zero team experience, and that was like, I think in the beginning it was way harder than it is now, because, you know, you have to relearn all the basics that you've learned from like 15 years of competitive.
Yeah.
So I think that she's doing really good, and I think it's great because you have someone with like a lot of hunger and a lot of passion to bring fire to the team, basically. And I think that's
and with this being Mary's first LAN ever, have you given her any advice coming in yet, or would you like to give her any advice now?
I've given her the most advices that
what have you told her?
I mean, some of them are a secret, but
it's between
but
me and Julia.
it's like really good exercises to get your nerves down and how to focus and not think so much about that you're on LAN, how to redirect your mind and such, which is something, you know, I've learned.
Yeah, and Mary, for you, with this being your first LAN event, do you think that experience actually matters that much? Do you think the amount of like LANs and tournaments that your teammates have played will make them like significantly better coming into this event? Or are you just going to show up to your first LAN and just be kicking things off on the ground running?
I mean, honestly, I think that the experience plays a big role. It's like any other thing in life, you know? If you have experience with something, you'd be really good at it. So, I mean, I wouldn't be expecting myself to be performing as much as I would because it's going to be like my first ever LAN. But yeah, I think for sure experience plays a big role, and they've been through so much. They know how to calm down their nerves and so many other things and just focus in the game. And
yeah, I think that also brings a lot of calmness to the rest of the teammates. So, I mean, I've been through before having players who've been nervous, and it's all been fine eventually because you have such a strong backbone in the team, and I think that's really important.
Now, you with G2 Gozen have been so dominant in EMEA for so long, but you lost the finals against Guild. Coming into this tournament, do you still believe you're the best team in EMEA? And if a rematch were to happen, how would that go down?
Yeah, of course. I mean, let's not forget, we're like 19-6 against them in maps. And also, I think that like the finals was us crumbling a bit. Like that was not the real G2, and we had like roles that were not fitting. We tried to throw Mary in as Sass when she's not Sass.
Yeah.
She's lacking a lot of experience, which Sass has. So we really like, how do you say? We really optimized the way we put our agent pool together this time, so it's fitting for every player and the whole team in general. Like,
Is there anything you're comfortable saying now about like changes with what you're going to be playing or not, or all on the hush hush?
I can say that a lot of times it would not be what anybody expects.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see. But that is all the time we have for now. Thank you both so much for sitting down with us and for answering our questions. And that'll wrap it up.
Honestly, I think that's the first time I've seen Mimi in the presence of someone who's younger than her as our resident Zoomer. But Mary, though, the way she carries herself, you can't tell that she's the one that has, like Giuliano said, no experience prior to joining G2.
I love the self-awareness, though. Like she's saying, you know, maybe I do not perform. I do not expect to perform the same way that I do when I'm home. You know, like many things are going to change. I have to ask Giuliano, though. I'm going to message her later, being like, what is that advice that you have on how to control nerves? Because I could definitely use that. But what I like the most about the interview was the fact that Giuliano looked back into the final and said, we were trying to use Mary as Sass, and we need to understand that she's not the same person, and we need to work with what we have now, which is not a little.
Yeah, and the role changes. Do you think they've had enough time to try and get that on board?
I have no idea, because for me, for my team, whenever we've tried to make role changes, we've always had to allocate like at least like a month worth of trials, and we just like mess around with roles.
Well, they've had exactly a month.
True. So maybe they're going to surprise us. Maybe because they have the 3 veterans, they could do it a lot faster. You know, I'm personally just like really excited to see what the roles are and who's going to fit into which role, because again, like we said, Mary was kind of popping off in like that support role. So I wonder if she's even going to be going even harder on another role. We'll see.
Maybe multiple of them have to swap roles. We'll see indeed. But their opponent today is one that we would probably call the Titan Slayers of APAC. It's X10s, Sapphire and Athena. It very nearly wasn't them. I think throughout this year, we probably expected a different team, but my God, did they do a lot to be able to get here.
Yeah, I mean, they fought hard all year long against Alter Ego, and they put up a fight in the last Game Changers. They actually ended up beating them not once, but twice in the tournament. They kind of overcame, like you said, their Titans, and I don't think that that's something that came along easy. They obviously changed something up, and I'm excited to see what that is.
Oh yeah, definitely. I want to see all the changes that Obi has brought into the team, because going back in that history, as we're saying, we're talking about a year that didn't look too good, and it literally looked like they were going to give up and, you know, and dissolve as a team at some point, and then something happens. Something happens and they just go completely crazy, and they change everybody's minds and everybody's prospect to what team was going to be here.
I mean, we credit G2 for having veteran players, but we can't ignore the one on this team as well, Kakuka. Ginny, she's been around for a very long time.
Yeah, exactly. I think that she's actually the oldest player that we have going now against the youngest, so I think the contrast is going to be massive for sure. Ginny has probably brought all those advices that Giuliano was giving to Mary to the rest of her teammates. We've seen insane plays coming from her. Like, she looks like she can do it all. So I think that going up against Giuliano, it looks pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the veterans of G2. They have the 3, right? But then when you come to X10, they have the 1. And the 1, and she's kind of IGLing, and she's putting up big numbers. So I think for me, from my eyes, especially as an IGL, I'm like, holy, this girl is insane. And even I like respect her and look up to her, and I would love to hear advice from both of these teams for sure. And I think that Ginny just herself is just bringing so much to the table, like IGLing, putting up numbers and everything. So that it's just wonderful.
And improving so much in such a little time.
Yeah, we're going to the map select right now to see which maps we're going to be seeing today. G2 Kakuka have such a big map pool. It does feel like they're going to be the ones that's probably going to be playing some games today.
Yeah, exactly. They're deciding to go with the Banner Fracture, something that I'm not very surprised with. I think that especially since we heard that from Giuliano being like, we're going to swap roles. I do agree with you, Sue. If you change a role, maybe you have to change more than one. It's not going to be that easy. And the first one is going to be Icebox.
Let
me love this, because this is the map that made G2 lose that final, and it was also the map that made X10 secure their ticket to Berlin.
It literally feels like some sort of redemption map for G2.
Exactly.
Like literally a whole redemption map.
They come here and they're like, we lost here. This is the first map that we're going to play. You thought that it was weak. We lost it twice in a row against them. We do not care.
I mean,
love that.
G2 are doing a lot of crazy things here. They've left Bind open as well here for X10. I mean, on paper, it's not as one-sided as I thought it could be, Athena.
Yeah, on Bind, like X10 is known to have gone 100% win rate, and they've played it a lot. They've gone 3-0 in the past game changers in that. And G2, they've only played it the once. They won it, but they've only played it the once. So I wonder if maybe they're kind of taking that and taking all the maybe VODs that they've seen or maybe done their research on the other team and kind of put that into action, or if they really just didn't want to play Haven. Even though for me, Haven is both these teams' strong maps. So that's kind of weird for me.
I think that we have a lot of questions coming into how teams are going to clash, and I love the fact that Icebox is going to be the first one. Are we going to see that change coming in from G2? If we want to see this series going the full distance, going to that third map, it has to start on Icebox, and we have to see something crazy coming in from the both. Has X10 actually improved that much? Can they stand up to the rest of the regions?
It is very G2 for us, for them to kind of give us something to be excited about right off the bat. But we are going to take a quick break here, but make sure you stay with us because we're going to be bringing on the teams on stage right after this. This is it. I hope you guys are home already because our teams here are ready to hit the stage. Here is G2 Gozen and X10 Sapphire. X10, they are the Titan Slayers of APAC, and they face yet another Titan, this time from EMEA. But this is G2's home turf. And do we believe in another upset? Do we feel it right now? What do we think?
I mean, especially since what we saw on the first match, I'm kind of leaning towards G2. Also, we have just heard the crowd. We know that we have some people here, and they're all cheering for G2. So if that is going to affect someone's mental, it's going to be both teams, actually.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just know that we have a couple of EU fangirls on the desk here.
Wait, who? Not me.
I think for me, I strongly believe that G2's experience will be a really hard hitter to push against, but I do think that X10 is a team to be able to push past it. So I'm just really excited to see that.
Let me tell you something. To me, the most important thing about this G2 Gosen, besides the experience, which I think it's great, and especially coming into LAN, it's something else. It's the fact that when they came into the game, everybody thought that they were going to be superstars, that they were going to be above everyone, and they didn't. They didn't. They had to go. They had to work. They had to start from scratch and become what they are today. They have the means to keep growing, to keep developing themselves as players, and this is what I want to see today here.
Well, I want to talk about that icebox that you mentioned, especially the redemption element of it. Do you feel like this is the right way to go about this, Kakuka? Because not only do they lose on icebox to not get first seed coming into this tournament, it didn't look good.
It didn't look good. No, not at all. And it was not the first time that they lost it against Guild X on that same tournament. So of course we had a lot of questions. I think that Juliana was hinting us a lot there into, we had to fix some roles. Maybe we're putting Mary. Maybe there's another role where she would shine more. Also, even with that, they had to lose. They had to learn.
Yeah, I think with new roles comes new initiatives. Like each individual player can always bring something crazy to the table when they switch roles. That's been something very common with a lot of pro teams. As soon as they do that role swap, that maybe their icebox was fixed because they found the right puzzle pieces to put into the jigsaw. So I think that I'm excited. That's all I can say.
I think furthermore, is Icebox the map that you expect role changes? Because even the comps, there aren't that many kind of areas to be creative here.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because Icebox is, again, exactly like you said, the meta has kind of been the same for so long, and Icebox is such a closed map. Like, you either do like 5-man executes, or you just like kind of get info and do whatever. But it just seems like maybe with the new rules, with the new whatever, like, they should be able to push past that. So
yeah, exactly. We will see it with the agents in a second, because I think that they try to the biggest swap that we see is maybe the Jet coming in, but watch out, because we had some changes on Reina that actually make her viable for this map.
Oh god, I would love to see a Juliana Reina. But we are going to be going into the Prime Gaming agent select shortly. Here it is. Again, both of you said there's not much room to be like super creative. Maybe this is not the map that we see a lot of changes, but again, it does seem to be Kakuka, the Jet versus the Chamber.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Mimi is going to be...
Well, we've seen it.
Okay, well, that's a change.
Oh my god.
Okay.
What is it? Is this FPX? Are we watching FPX? Mary's on the Chamber!
Is this liquid? Oh my god, that is the big change. You bring a young player, you want them to be on the guns, you want them to be explosive, electric. Of course you give them the Chamber.
Yeah, I think G2 made a really good call here, because X10 is going for the double Senti meta as well. So it's really interesting that Raze is going to be able to take that space and kind of push past all of that.
I think we didn't see changes on the other side. No. I think we saw the same composition that we expected from X10 to be playing. So, of course, this is very exciting. I think that Giuliano is one of the few players that can go on the race, still be in IGL and having this change in the composition, and she's going to perform the same.
I am so excited for these changes, and I'm even more excited to introduce you guys to your casters for this game. It is Enmi, Ender and Mimi.
Yes, thanks so much, Yinsu and the analyst desk crew. We've got Icebox, the last map of both of these teams, best out of 5 in their grand finals. One team lost, the other won. One team changed their comp, the other stuck to it. Why is that?
Well, you know what? G2 came out and in their interview were saying, look, expect the unexpected. There's going to be a lot of changes in terms of comps coming in. And already it's like super interesting, right? Mary, who even in the loss in that finals against Guild had a really good couple of maps there, is going to be on the Chamber. That's a huge switch up for her jumping in on that. But I think on this attacking side, it completely alters the identity of G2 Gozen. Previously, when Mimi was on the Killjoy, she was always that mid lurk, that pivot for the team. Now on the Sage, that responsibility is going to likely fall into Glance's hands.
And we are into it. Icebox, the first map of X10 versus G2, a chance to face off against Cloud9 or an early lower bracket awaiting them.
Already, we're seeing a big setup here over towards the A site out of G2. Very likely Baby TZ might just put down an early wall here, expecting a lot of pressure coming through from the team. And all eyes on Mary, I think, early on here. See what she can accomplish on this chamber for her. She used to be the baiter on the team, having to play a Sage, wait for the team to have to show up, but now full steam ahead for her and Giuliano on the Raze.
With this bait, it will just be the cat on in. Mary not able to find that initial shot. Alyssa will drop her down, and maybe TZ actually going for more aggression. X10 picks 2 up immediately, and G2 has no response. They're zoned by the Sage wall and forced to fall away.
Yeah, they may be getting a little greedy. They were trying to push past the Sage wall. Yeah, they were able to break it, but got a little ahead of themselves off of that. But this is that mid lurk I was talking about. Not really a lurk when the whole team is around it, but you can see Glance very much in the front here. No Viper wall or any setup for them when they do work into this B site, and you have to be concerned about Muffin, an excellent player over here for X10, but gets caught on the timing. Glance and Petra pick up a couple, and the round immediately back in G2's hands.
And now trouble for X10. It's all Glance. Finds the third. Alyssa alone, trapped in mid, and G2 has no awareness. A slow orb down for the moment. And that spike is ticking. Mimi spots her. Alyssa will find the first. A second onto the headshot. She needs just one more glance. Already huge in this round, and now holding down, hiding behind that wall. She has the time on her side, and she's got the shot too.
Yeah, kick it off with a 4K out of Glance. You can hear the G2 goes in chance in the crowd. A little bit of home field advantage there maybe for the squad, and Glance showing up in a big way here.
And this is where G2 feels comfortable. That core 3 has been waiting years to get back to land. This is their element.
It absolutely is for them. You know, we were sort of going back, you know, this team that sort of first played together, the 3-player core. It's back in 2015. And we actually saw Baby TZ dropped a tweet where she watched that core of G2 play back in 2019, which is just unreal.
She was a fan back then, and now she'll have to take them down if they want to stay alive in this upper bracket. Towards B, this time G2 will head more akin to their normal style with this composition. I think the biggest difference, not having that Sova to drone out buff, and she will be traded down.
Definitely will be. Already just sort of blitzing on over here. I think X10 maybe a little bit slow to get the rotations on through. Lots of tools, but no wall on Mimi does make things a little bit more difficult without having sort of the rifles to spam through the Viper smokes, though I think they can play this a little bit more patiently, maybe bring down that Viper utility and play these longer range fights.
Very forward, has this rendezvous set up, but Giuliano's nade just finds one, and G2 is cleaning up. Holly, they do a little bit more damage, but this should just be a formality. That is, unless Alyssa can get a little bit cheeky. 1 versus 2 now. Another go. Try to. At this clutch, her position very much noted, and G2 playing this one together. Both members healthy, so a difficult task, but even another kill here could put her in the right direction. Up top holds Giuliano, and Alyssa not quite ready for that one.
Absolutely no chance you're ready to clear up that high on that one. And getting a little extra shots in the Killjoy turrets. You know, the Killjoy turrets, not big fans of that here in the VCT. No. But G2 already with a good start to kick things off here. And of course, this is a G2 team that was so incredibly dominant in EMEA for so long, the last couple of years in Game Changers, and we're finally dethroned on this map of Icebox, losing in that Game 5 up against Guild, which is a completely different story to X10, who finally got their chance to make it here.
Yeah, now here they go again on Icebox with this brand new composition. Giuliano will have the onus put on her with that Spectre in hand. Everyone else just stuck down to the pistols. Don't want to enter too much into this one, as X10 will just hold passive with these compositions, with the Killjoy. You're relying on letting your opponent scale into you.
Yeah, the one concern I have with the Killjoy here and the utility being set up on this A site is there's a Raze on the opposite side. Raze, not a super popular pick on this map, but so effective at just annihilating Killjoy utility. The paint shell is just a little bit too distant there, so you can see the alarm bot is still going to be there. Turret still up, as well as a couple of Molotovs. Just guard the entrances towards the site, the wall as well. So G2 going to have to slowly work their way, bait out that utility before fully committing, and the Viper wall comes down to signal the hit.
They do still have that alarm bot for contact, and Alyssa playing close. Stall utility is good, and there's even a dart to hold G2 at bay, but they're just waiting for all of this to drop. Their final opportunity to come. Getting a spike plant, even with these pistols, would be great. And for X10, on this setup, their goal is to stay away from that retake, to deny early. Up top, Alarmbot will make contact, and Alyssa, she's got the angle. 2 frags picked up, and a pretty simple cleanup on the site. Lance is trying to work another one of these lurks, but very aware is Polly on the other side, and support available there by Baby TZ. Lance will find one, though. has Polly isolated, but would have to push her own Molly to take that duel, which is 35 HP, and support on the way. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, really solid lockdown there out of X10. Again, the fact that the info utility was there, they could get the vulnerable and the alarm as well, just sets everything up for success on that site. Alyssa already off to a good start with the lockdown coming online as well. And you can notice actually a couple of players here on X10 just with the light armor next round. But in terms of how this one played out, just the absolute lockdown, the awareness that Glance is going to be that late round pivot for G, working in through mid. X10 have very clearly done their homework, come in prepared against this G2.
Alyssa will have the lockdown in this round, so you can lean a little bit more to playing that retake on the A site. Use that ult to find a little bit more, but you do have lots of tools to contend with that raise in the composition. And this time they will scale fast towards A. This is a big difference from their previous comp, where they are a very heavy B team on their attacks.
Yeah, when you're playing the sort of Jet as the duelist and playing a lot of the info around mid with the Killjoy, you can definitely work into that B site a little bit easier. But with this raise, I think it allows you to clear back 410. You can do a lot of things. The Fade, Haunt, or C's coming out as well. And already Giuliano very far forward here and alone.
And Alyssa's kind of stuck here. She'll be slow orbed off everyone from X10 in these backlines, and Glance has that Viper's Pit. Mary will try and hold the line, and dropping from above is Giuliano, but Baby Bay plucks her from the sky. 3 versus 3, the pit holds, the wall is up, and X10 is slow on this rotate.
Baby TZ just sort of stuck on this site at the moment, was walled off, so had a little bit of protection, but intelligent to hold time, get the rest of her team to rotate over on here. They have the Viper wall to make things a little bit easier, but face checking in towards Glance. You can see the gun, but no, the kills aren't there for Glance. The Viper Pit is going to be coming down, and Mimi from backside finds 3, turns it around with Petra on the trade. G2 secure the round.
A near tragedy for G2, but you can see in that round the highlight of this compositional change. If you're X10, you invest so much time into prepping for that Killjoy comp, and now G2 is throwing you these consistent, faster A pieces with that deep raised dive. It can really be tough to come back from that.
Definitely can be, and especially like with Giuliano being able to clear so much over towards that A site, just open things up. Even though there was a Viper wall sort of isolating her from the rest of the team, her finding the opening kills, getting the Viper Pit down onto the ground, made playing out the rest of that round so much simpler for the team. And it doesn't look like we're going to see a big change from X10 coming into this round. Killjoy, again, going to be set up over towards A. Of course, this is going to be a bit of a thrifty round for X10, but they're going to have to find some way of dealing with this raise, maybe switching up some placements of the Killjoy utility so that it's not so easily cleared.
Muffin will hold close, has a rendezvous to get out, but can't find that initial shot, so Polly is just holding alone towards back yellow. G2 very committed to the scale into B, but after losing a member, things could get a bit interesting. Roomba up, but that orb will kind of segment G2 off on this hit. They have to clear back yellow, and they cannot get Polly out of this position. She'll make the decision to leave herself, but still, G2 sit at Amanda's advantage.
Polly finding 2 big kills, but here come G2. Mary on the attack, getting tagged through the Viper wall. Somehow is able to reclaim and get back towards yellow. Not spammed easily out through that one. The Sage wall is going to come up, and that's going to block out the shock darts too. So very easy to get that plant down, and X10 unable to deny for now.
Ginny on the shot, but G2 just wants to fight. Petra swings forward, grabs 3, and Mary is there for the last. A great realization of G2 needing to put onus on themselves and take those forward duels.
This is a very different looking G2 than the way they have played their Icebox previously. We've talked about their compositional difference, but just in terms of previously how they really slow worked through mid, you'd see a lot more of these mid-round rotations off of what Mimi was able to accomplish in mid. Instead, this G2 with the raise is just much more about those full-on executes. It's been effective here so far, but they've got a lot of tools on the opposite side for X10 to deal with.
X10 now will be calling that tactical timeout, getting Obi into the mix. This is a team that has been around for a while in APAC, but they've always been second fiddle. They finally make it here. They win in the one that counts. They qualify to the international event, but for the majority of their squad, there's a lot of inexperience still. They have 2 members who have been in these situations many a time, and Ginny in particular, their IGL, she's who I'm looking towards in this timeout.
Absolutely. Ginny going to be calling the shots for the team, and this has been a player that's been around for so long in the TAC FPS scene. She's played at super high levels on mixed rosters in both CSGO at the start and VALORANT, IGLing for them as well, really making an impact wherever she goes.
And their coach as well, Obi, he was with that X10 roster that we saw early in 2021 qualifying actually here to Berlin and as well to some of those first lands. Now he's the coach of this team. Now he's leading a new X10, this X10 roster of Sapphire into the mix. So we'll have to see if those words can turn anything around. Getting more rounds on this defense is going to be pivotal for X10.
And in terms of X10 coming into this round, right, you have the Viper's pit up, you have the Killjoy ult there as well. The setup for them has just been Viper chamber towards B, the other three around A with a relatively soft mid presence. They're not really tempting that too much. So I was maybe expecting to see the Viper work over towards A in a round like this, but instead it will just be on B, maybe a reactive ult there if you hear some stuff around that. But Giuliano instantly on top two, maybe to counteract an early Viper's pit.
Oh, Giuliano, there's a player just below her. She does have that awareness. Nade, I think that's actually just to break that trademark there, but isn't able to take it down. And now Mary is pushed so deep, but I think she thought she finished that food. Ginny is still alive. She'll find that trade back, and now G2 in dire straits. They've lost all their control of mid with Ginny redroning.
Yeah, it's crazy because it seemed like G2 had the read in the timeout of, hey, they're not really playing mid too aggressively. Mary had that huge walk up all the way into pallet, but the X10 front line there just locking it down, and now G2 make this call. We work into B because we have the Viper's wall to play off of, and Glance finds that opening kill. That's unreal to start this attack off for G2.
She'll push deeper as well through her own orb, trying to take a duel here. Polly is down to low HP. That spike is now planted, but Glance is on a bit of an island. The forward wall, so G2 can stay on the site for this post.
That's the whole idea, right? We're down in numbers, so we don't want to play that sort of, shooting gallery from back yellow. It all comes down to Glance, this first point of contact for G2, but still chances to trade with Mimi lining up and now calling Glance out as the lockdown comes in.
They're forced to concede that space, and Baby TZ a well-timed swing onto Petra. Two less standing. Mimi and Glance, they have the time on their side. A Sage Wall is up, a tap on the spike, but no one holding Alyssa. She's gonna try and stick this one down. The swing is there, but she's gotten it half. It's only Glance, but she's found three, trying to find something more. But Mimi just cannot do it.
The 3K not enough, and it's Alyssa to find that round win out for the team. Coming down to the wire on that, secures the op for the squad as well, and X10 only had to commit the lockdown off that. Alyssa gets 3 kills afterwards, or 2 kills, and the end of the defuse, so that one already halfway to returning. What a round from X10.
A huge one for them. Baby TZ starting to show some of that value with Alyssa as well, making that retake a reality. We'll have to see now if they can convert that into consistency. Muffin, a player who has been really dominant for X10 regionally, struggling thus far in this map, but now that operator in her hands.
Let's play.
You can see the crowd trying to get back on G2's side here, and G2 not concerned about that B site anymore. Glance is working that mid lurk, so when things get a little bit dicey for G2, returning to some of the trends that we've seen from them previously, already walking all the way down tube, and no one's actually played Kitchen just yet, so Glance breaking this is going to cause some chaos in the minds of X10. Their 2 B players have pushed into B main, but realistically, G2 could be almost anywhere, pushed back on towards the back of B site or towards X10 spawn.
I actually really like this call from X10. Instead of re-rotating to clear towards Kitchen, towards their spawn, they have a player hold their flank and go for a double flank. If G2 doesn't go fast, there'll be 2 players in their backline.
I think they may be able to spot the spike here. You can see Polly pushed all the way garage. If the spike is on the left side of the cans, they would see that and could instantly sort of play back, guard that. Polly gets the kill. That is massive, and Giuliano flies into the back lines, gets that opening frag, and wants a little bit more, but Baby TZ locks her down.
And the objective has been lost. There's no sight of it for G2. They've gone too fast on this execute, and now they have to work all the way back through their spawn, but they're making it happen. Glance and Mary, both for one. It comes down to this pinch, and there's a Viper's pit for Polly. She'll pop it straight onto the spike. An operator holding on that other angle, and only 20 seconds for G2. This is a catastrophe.
I mean, you have to sprint into it, but there's an operator outside the pit. How are you going to expect that? Muffin and Polly get the double flank option, spot the spike, and it explodes the round for G2.
And that is the identity of this composition. G2 is aware of it. They used to play that very same style on their defense, heavily committing to those double flanks in the late round.
Yeah, when you don't have that sort of dive ability, the jet dash, the raised sapsels or anything like that, it's really important to open up other opportunities to get into a site. That's exactly what they were going to do there. If they're not spotting out the spike, those 2 players could realistically work together, trade out any single flank watcher from G2. So G2 rewinding the clock a couple of rounds now here. It's going to be another mid look, likely a couple of satchels to work towards top 2 with the Sheriffs. It's actually going to be under tube right off the bat. They know there's early B main pressure, so they're trying to sneak their way onto the site. And Giuliano opens it up with the Sheriff. What is that?
Muffin needs to survive back yellow. She's the only force remaining on this site. She'll find one. No say teleport to get out, but does it matter? Muffin has found a second. They're walling out in the open. G2 trying to pinch onto her, and Mimi will find the shot. Back to a 3v3. Now that op can be recovered.
Really strange wall from Mimi. Look how deep that is on the site, sort of blocking in any players from Orange working on towards there. Is able to get the resurrection back yellow too, and very aware that Alyssa's going to try and swing around the side.
This round, no flank for X10, but they do have the res. However, none of those players available, and G2 is holding these lines so deep. Giuliano, she's received a gift, and she is making use of it. One shot connecting the slow orb down, and Baby TZ just has to swing into this line, and somehow she'll still get the kill.
It's still just two sheriffs.
And there's a Sage wall. They need to spam it so quickly. Baby TZ will get this to half. The mollies are there. The Wally's still up. Glance needs to stop the shield jiggle. In and out, knows the time is on her side, but Ginny, she's attempting to stick. It will not happen. Glance somehow makes it happen for G2.
Oh my god, they still only had 2 sheriffs at the end, even with all of those kills. It is Glance to show up here. 9 kills already. We were wondering how the sort of compositional switch-up was going to work. It has done some favors here for Glance. Has been able to find so many openings in the late round, those mid-plays as well. And you can see the frustration on X10 in the clutch. They knew they could have had that.
And not only is that a round loss, they're back down to the eco here. Muffin does have that tour de force. She was the only one who made that round as close as it was previous, but G2 won't head into her. Instead, they play the slower look towards A as X10 does look to creep up here.
This is finally a new way of playing, I feel like, for X10, because they've been doing sort of the same thing a lot over and over in these rounds, really trying to test it with that early A push on the Thrifty. But I think one more time, Glance has just unlocked this ability of no one's actually going to watch me in kitchen. I can break that. And again, the chaos, the uncertainty for X10 now weighing on them as Baby TZ just finds a kill in A. I mean, you can rely on a player like that. That is impressive.
And Mary wants to go hunting for more. The youngest player in this tournament put on a role that enables her, and they're putting on a show. Glance 2 of her own. This is a pretty simple anti-eco. Muffin is still alive, though. How's that ult? Maybe she can get something here in the 1v4.
All right, the coping's coming in strong here. This is a good-looking G2. And yeah, that operator can do a lot of things, but not when Giuliano is on the hunt. Look at her, ready and wait. She can hear the footsteps of Muffin, knows exactly what's going on. Petra's not even getting greedy, right? She's gonna swing under tube as soon as Giuliano makes contact. You're not gonna do anything, and Giuliano got a little bit hungry. Had to go for that swing around there and wrap up the round for G2.
Yeah, that's the coordination for G2. The core of this team playing together for years and showing it here. X10 back on the bye, but the loss of that Thrifty is going to have big implications for the rest of the half. This really is a must-win round for them.
It absolutely is, and oh, they're finally doing something different. Okay, I was waiting for this because G2 really had just sort of unlocked how X10 were playing the map, but finally we see the switch-ups. This Killjoy turret in kitchen, it's going to be able to block off both tube and under tube, which G2 have sort of done both, right? With the scan, It actually sees out from Snowpile. That's a really good switch-up for them. Does make their A-hold a little bit lighter, but with this alarm bot going down pallet too, it shuts down really any of those mid-lurks that Glance has been going for.
G2, though, actually not putting any emphasis on mid this round. Instead, they're just heading straight for an A hit here. We'll have to see if the changes for X10 are enough to hold this site.
Well, that's the thing, is it's just one molly that instantly gets broken. I guess a Sage Wall could come into play. Baby TZ hasn't locked that in just yet, but in terms of actual fighting power on this site, it's much weaker than previously.
Polly's been seen. She could be in trouble here. Orb to get out, but up top is Mary taken down. Sees for the trade on a spam through the smoke, so 4 versus 4. And Glance again on this lurk. Now they have to set the alarm bells ringing. Someone has to contend with this. This should weaken the hold towards F.
But notice, as this res comes through, Ginny is playing much more over towards screens. Baby TZ is able to find one and get that res off. So a big swing, and also Viper utility still up on it. It's going to be hard for G2 to scale.
Another layer to this lurk. Glance keeps pressuring in mid. Ginny actually walking all the way around. There could be backstabs on backstabs in that area of the map, but it's relying on X10 living in the backlines of this site, because Glance could beat the timing. If she wins against Alyssa, she has this site cracked open. It's Polly alone. It's Petra for 3, and it's Ginny in the backside. Glance has this pit up. A dart will go in. Does it spot her? Not quite. She needs this kill now, and we'll be able to grab it now. Just Petra in close, and Ginny for 2. The veteran claims the round for X10.
Oh, what a hero play coming through from Jinny to wrap it up. And not just that, like, respect to Jinny for winning that 1 versus 2 right there before Muffin was going to get there. But the call, right? You have 3 rounds left in the half. You've been doing the same thing every single round. Not just the decision we're going to put Killjoy turret in kitchen, but also Jinny comes around. So once that's broken, you instantly have a drone following up. That's Jinny herself making that happen, being very aware of the mid lurk. And yes, it does fall apart as the G2 player is just so good. Sometimes you're going to win out in those fights, but I love the extra layers, the switch up coming through on the fly with so little time left in the half.
Huge round for them, and that is even despite Petra's heroics almost single-handedly making that round happen. For X10 now, looks like there will be another bit of a pause coming through to consider the options.
G2, okay, look, they did the same thing for 9 rounds. All of a sudden, they've switched up the setup. Let's come in with a different plan. Even though, like, I think G2 did react pretty well within it, right? You still have glance breaking. Instead of a tripwire, it's going to be a turret in kitchen. But knowing, hey, if Jinny's playing more of a float, could we actually just burst execute onto that A site a little bit quicker, right? That Killjoy previously had been really anchored down on the A site. Now, she actually has to play Pallet or Boiler to stay in range of her turret, or that's going to go offline and you lose that protection. So you almost know the location of the Killjoy because of the range limitations of her utility. That's something you don't have to really consider when a Chamber's on the mix.
Yeah, I think the kind of compositional choices on this map kind of come down to what you're able to access with your composition. And here without the Sova, it makes it very hard to access those just straight up B main hits, which means G2 has been consistently forced into these A hits or the mid splits and lurks, which X10 seems to have a good read on.
Seems like another mid split here for Giuliano, working up on top of 2, but you have to keep in mind, lockdown is ready for Alyssa, so executing onto the B site, the post plant does get a little bit tricky when that lockdown comes into play. Jinny forced perhaps to use the early drone, but nah, she wants to take the fight first.
As the information, a tag there is big. Mary might just have to concede this space or risk sticking around in the danger area. Alyssa on the re-clear. Mary is now trapped out in the open unless she can teleport out of this one. And X10 is trying to hunt her, but there's a timing here. Mary's made it past, not quite. Jinny on the turn, Giuliano on the trade. That's her up top of Tube. And now this is going to be a split. Again, pressure is with Muffin. She's been here before last time. A 2K to keep her team in the round, but G2 cancel.
Yeah, they're just going to run away. I think Muffin had already used the teleport. 15 seconds on that cooldown was low, but not. They don't even want to deal with that operator at all.
With Alyssa dead, mid-pressure here is huge for X10.
It absolutely is. No utility to sort of guard that one out, but G2 aren't trying to activate a lurk or anything like that. Instead, just instantly bursting out onto this A site once the utility is going to come in. Mimi has that ult ready to go, and on the zipline, you can't kill Baby TZ, but they're able to find that kill behind the box regardless. Polly will be cleared on through. G2 very diligent working into this A site.
Has to be Jinny again. Practically full utility bar that drone in an isolated duel, but it's a wall bang. Not gonna convert, hard pressed to commit to this retake. That operator in the hands of Muffin, an early kill is really needed to activate this.
I just don't know if it can actually happen here. Not a ton of credits, 250, 300 on Muffin. Yeah, you don't want to commit the ultimate here for Jinny. The operator has to be saved. So X10 gonna back on out of that one, live to fight another day. And they're gonna be using these last few seconds to again figure out what can we do in this final round to bring it within 2 before the half.
And this game has been a lot about Giuliano and what she does. She's one of the few IGLs who plays on that dive role.
Oh, yeah.
And in this Raze composition, it's very much changed the style with her leading from the front so often with these early pushes into mid.
Yeah, she had previously been a jet player on this map, so had some of those abilities, but I think especially when they're doing those A hits, right? It's instantly the paint shells, the double satcheling onto the site, sometimes leaving her team a little bit in the dust. Petra got involved a little bit on this one too, you gotta give her credit there, but I think Giuliano really has been the main switch for G2 in terms of their actual side executes.
It definitely has been. Last round of the half now. Some massive ultimates online for X10. That Viper's Pit. Polly, I want to put this one early towards A. She's buying Shorty as the secondary there.
X10 have nothing in kitchen, by the way. Instead, maybe Muffin is going to try to push down Tube. That could be an idea. Just fight your way out because you have the Viper's Pit on A, so maybe expecting G2 to try and get some pressure down in mid off this. The operator is going to go for that very late peek here.
Muffin has never played here before, but Mary is ready regardless. A huge opening kill for her. I'm going to try and reclaim the space off of the wall. Baby TZ makes it across off of that. But G2 is fine to stay slow now with their player advantage.
And now, because you burned that wall in mid, right, you have no information in kitchen, so you feel like maybe you have to block that off. You don't have that as an option when you're retaking a site, right, to throw that up, try to get at least a half stick, maybe even a full defuse, whatnot, block away any sort of utility. And it means that their B hold is very, very soft at the moment. Baby TZ, the only player here to do anything.
And it's a good awareness of the setup of X10. This chamber trademark, when you're putting that turret in mid, is almost always here. And with the chamber dead, that opens up lots of opportunities towards B.
What is this, though? Giuliano is the new mid lurk for G2. No paint shells, I think. They just decided, hey, we don't need the satchels to get in there, so we're going to use her as that thorn in the side of X10. Giuliano killing her opposite IGL. Just break open this round for G2.
And G2 has been loving this deep wall. With that lurk activated, they hold so much space. And Mary is posted on the line. Another shot connected with that operator. Alyssa, the last standing. X10 is locked out of this one. A showstopper on top of it all. And Mimi will close things out. A prime gaming flawless to end.
Oh yeah, so good out of G2, just pivoting so quickly, the mid lurk from Giuliano. But credit throughout this half to Glance, stepping in to that mid lurk role for the team. A big switch for G2 that looked oh so good.
Yeah, a lot of pivots have been made for this team heading into this match, and it all seems like it's working. Maybe a bit of a slower start for Mary, but now she is farming, finding some massive impact kills, and for X10, it is going to be a tough task to come back in this second half. But to reflect on the first and get us ready for the rest of the game, got the desk.
Very much, Mimi and Ender. 8-4, what a recovery there from G2 towards the end. And Kakuka, do you feel like they've answered those questions when it comes to redemption, why they chose this map, and what are you thinking right now of G2's performance?
So there are many things that I've saw here from G2 that made me think that they're still testing. Of course, we talk about they've had some time, they've had a month to bring this together, but I still feel that it's a little bit rookie. And it's actually, for example, in that last round where we saw Giuliano going on that trail, is the whole old habits that bring it in. I wanted to take a look at this round, and round number 7, because we saw something that Giuliano was doing over and over again, and it's trying to be that entry, trying to create that space with that raise. But even though she gets the first kill just thanks to the showstopper, she doesn't manage to get anything else. And the response of the rest of the team is being in places where they're not used to be. The control over the map is also given completely to Extend, that already know where the spike is, also got the kill in onto Mimi, and now have all the space and the time in the round to play with it.
Yeah, I think that that was super cool. I feel like X10 definitely reacted in a way, then G2 kind of had to do something, and it really felt kind of scrambled, kind of like what you said, that they kind of reacted in a way that didn't play to their favor.
Well, let's talk about one of the bigger changes we saw. It is Mary. They've opted to bring in the chamber instead of the killjoy. Of course, Mimi is an incredible killjoy play. Athena, what are you expecting from Mary? What would you like to see from this defense chamber?
Yeah, I mean, the change from Mimi off of killjoy, Mimi playing killjoy is like super defensive, and especially in Icebox, you need that kind of staple sentinel on that site to be able to hold it down. So for Mary to be able to play chamber and to kind of do the same job or even better, she has to start definitely opping more. Like that on the attack side, we didn't see that much of her op, but she also has to start taking those lines and kind of playing in a little more aggressive angles and being able to control and take the space that kind of seems like that they weren't 100% doing. So I think for Mary to kind of step it up and kind of show the confidence that she has been showing us in game and out of game, if she's able to take the lines, hold the space, hold the angles, and as a chamber, she should technically be able to do her job.
Yeah, completely. But we just saw her on camera. She's actually pretty nervous, and I think it's because things are not going according to plan. On the previous game, we were talking about how for C9, everything's working. For G2 is not that moment yet, and Mary needs something to boost her confidence.
Well, there's going to be a very important pistol round coming up as we pitch this back into the game with Ender and Mimi.
Thanks very much, Sue. Yeah, 8-4 at the half here. G2 now a pivotal pistol round to close this one out.
Definitely is going to be for them, and interesting setup I'm seeing out of G2 with both Giuliano and Mary over towards B long. I was wondering, like, oh, actually, Mary did jump up onto yellow. 2 players on top yellow. When was the last time you saw that?
The ancient era, when we still saw, like, Jet combined with a second duelist, or even when we saw Omen on this map. I don't know.
Those were dark times, the Jet plus Omen on this one, back when people thought Viper was completely troll. But is Baby TZ actually going to take first contact here on the Sage, getting chunked instantly Baby TC's got a wall. You don't want to lose that. This is like the most important piece of utility when trying to execute over towards B, so that one's going to sting.
Yeah, and Nadesu was talking about Mary's confidence. This may be her first real chamber game in an official with G2, but she's looking pretty solid here. Already a dink, she'll stick by for a little bit longer, and the second player will fall off too, but now they have so much utility to stall this out. This is the value of the raise.
Oh, the Viper Wall does just instantly come down here. I was wondering, are they actually going to execute in? You can see the Killjoy Molly comes to try and clear back yellow as well. That's one of the hardest things to do here when you're playing a no duelist comp here on this map, is actually getting the space to fight back yellow. So using the utility does cost you some in terms of post plant, but does make that a little bit easier. But they're just bailing out of B entirely.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well. This is one of the few maps where you oftentimes do see that the fade rays separated out from each other, playing more individual setups, and that wall for Mimi now.
That's a fantastic wall.
It's so well timed. 40 seconds for that to decay. They'll have to break it or all funneled through 410. There's a molly to go down as well. There is so much stall
There's
from
a paint
G2,
shell too from
and they
Giuliano.
have to push straight through. This is a death drop. 10 seconds left for X10. They have a wall of their own, but can they get past Mimi? Not yet. 10 on the clock. The plant not down, and Ginny dead to rights. 9-4 as G2 take their pistol.
Yeah, G2 just read them like a book right there. Got the players over towards that A site and a perfect wall. No chance for that one to go down when it's just like, maybe if you have rifles as X10, it's a little easier because you can bust it down quickly, but you have to go for the reload on 3-4 players after trying to break that one. Even if the kills hadn't come through, the util was going to be there. G2 just carve up X10, now up to 9 here.
And X10 going for a lean towards A here on their eco. They're one of the teams that play with the Killjoy that actually oftentimes favors this side of the map. Pretty uncommon with this comp.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where if you're able to work in towards that B site, that's maybe a little bit easier to take. But when you have to take A, it's really hard to get past this Viper Wall. You don't have a flash or anything to push you on past there. Not that flashes are necessarily mandatory on this map, but definitely help when getting past this Viper Wall on the A side.
And that initial setup in mid, pretty cool for G2, but Glance, I'd say pretty cool as well. 3 kills for her.
Yeah, Glance is having a very nice time of things. G2 fans in the crowd have to be happy off of that one, and you know, Glance finds 3 kills, you know, against the pistols right there. But all game long, you can see 17 and 8 has been looking real good, especially on that attacking side.
Yeah, G2 is one of those teams. Well, they have the stars, they have Juliana, they have Mary. It does not always matter if they're having a great game because the supportive line of this team is fantastic.
Yeah, Juliana's just chilling. Honestly, last round with her, or pistol round rather, her boosted on yellow with Mary, her job was just to break the Sova drone so that you wouldn't actually spot Mary. Now, Mary fought the player that peeked deep back B main, but it's so interesting seeing how Mary has taken so much more of a forefront for this team when previously she's been locking in the Sage.
And look at that aggression. Wow. G2 is just full sending it into spawn. Mary's hitting a shot with her headhunter, and now X10 is pinched. They're trapped towards B. They're forced to commit to the site.
Yeah, and Mary's able to get the one in B main as well. Like, there's nowhere to go. Petra is stuck under bottom site here too. You're never ready for her to be swinging you on this position. Mary is revealed, and Polly's able to clear here, but there's the stinger in the back. Petra finds one, and it's all chaos here. How do you even plant a spike?
But G2 have a double flank. They're making their way back around, and they've dropped into spawn too. Juliana for 1, and Polly down. No heroics for her this time. A 10th round for G2.
Hold on. Giuliano pushed A main, right? She was one of the players that was sprinting up belt, and then she's swinging you Snowman too and killing you there. She's just sprinting around the map, an absolute marathon runner here for G2.
The Juliana World Tour. Berlin the first stop. Let's see where she's stopping next.
Oh yeah. Hey, that's actually the thing, right? G2, sort of, you do have a little bit of that home field advantage. Didn't have to really fly in here necessarily. Maybe Mary had to.
I think she was boot camping before.
She was boot camping before, that's true. She was talking to us and said that, yeah, she's been with the team a whole lot of times, so not necessarily new for her, but a stage like this definitely is.
They've got the spray paint on the sidewalk buff. For those of you not with us at the LEC studio here, there is an entire line from the S-Bond station all the way to the studio with spray paint saying this is Gozen's home.
Yeah, it's like the line of breadcrumbs, right, that you follow, and then, oh, you got Valorant at the very end. That's better than a house full of candy.
For Hansel and Gretel, I'd say.
You gotta love that. I don't remember that one ending very well, but perhaps
I like this
for
ending
G2. G2. This one could be good for them. The House of Gozen, they've been saying. It's a little bit fun. And honestly, like the confidence from this team too, in interviews, backstage as well, sort of smile and be like, yeah, you know, we changed things up on a couple of maps already. Map 1 looking real strong.
All right, I want you to cope for me
Okay.
for a bit about X10. What's their way back in?
Well, they've slayed Titans before, right?
They have done
look,
that.
they knocked down Alter Ego today. If they were able to beat G2, it would be C9 later, so you have to get through a couple of tournament favorites. But
That's an outcome, not a route.
that's
They need
not a
actionable
solution.
feedback here.
Okay, I'm gonna work on some action here. They've got 5 seconds left in the timeout. I would say in this round here, you almost need to go for a force buy, right? Otherwise, G2 get up to 12, but their actual money situation is terrible. I don't think they're going to go for this one at all. If anything, I would have said, let's like lock in a couple of shorties here and try to see if we can get onto a site, maybe like one sheriff, a couple of shorties, and then you play inside the Viper's pit. That could be a way for them, but I think with the way G2 have been fighting forward, I mean, look at that. Like the paint shells instantly with the slorb as well. The setup is there, so you can't actually quickly get out into A main.
And I think the way that G2 is playing around mid without a Killjoy has been really excellent. You constantly have Petra holding there with the cats in the haunt to re-clear space, but you've also had different players pivoting in and out. This time Mary's in position, last time it was Giuliano. It is a very flexible defensive-sided setup, which has meant X10 hasn't had a single round where they've managed to find a gap and exploit a lurk, which generally they're pretty good at.
And I think actually one of the biggest benefits you get with something like the Fade on this defensive side as opposed to a Sova is like the double cats as opposed to one.
She didn't even see
Yeah,
Kitty.
I mean, Mary's just absolutely carving. You're not going to do anything against that. X10 just hiding back towards their spawn against that operator. But I think having like multiple cats to re-clear mid as opposed to just the one Sova drone does give you a lot of ways to counter out the lack of having that second sentinel.
Oh, Alyssa finding a nice shot onto Giuliano there, just stomping her way through A main. That's a rifle conceded something for X10 here.
I mean, you asked me to cope earlier. This would be the ultimate follow-through if they were able to make something happen with this. But I think time really working against them. 20 seconds left, still have to get
And
through.
a Viper's pit. That is insult to injury.
And the wall again. Like Mimi is just so ready to lock this down to the last second. Polly is able to find one, but you're never going to be able to plant this spike. Alyssa, it's only a 1 versus 2, but again, the clock is gone. You can't get the plant off. The round is lost. G2 move on to map point.
G2 is here. G2 is home. 12-4 on their map choice. And for X10, this is looking dire. If there was a round to turn it around, maybe it was there, but now an unstoppable object they're against.
Last player standing. Spike down.
G2, one more round to close this out. Move on over to Sunny Breeze for map number 2. That would be X10's map pick, but X10 still with options here, just gearing up 5 players towards B main. Would maybe like to see them work late mid lurk into the equation. Interestingly enough, yeah, okay, Polly did end up throwing that mid-morb down there, so they do have the ability to rotate out.
Excuse me?
Yeah, Morbin back into mid on that one.
I don't know if I accept that one.
You don't accept, denied?
There are certain things you can shorten that make sense. I don't know if I'm on board for
Oh, look,
the
we've got the Sage Slow Orb, the Slorb.
Okay.
We've got the Chamber Operator, the Chop. I don't see why we can't have a Morb for the mid orb.
The council's gonna have to decide.
The council will decide, okay.
I'll send it up the chain of command. But for now, let's see if X10 can send something more to maybe build into a comeback here.
That's a segue.
Yeah, I segue.
All right, wall comes down. That's fairly committal, and Mimi takes first contact on the Sage. Instantly gonna fall back, right? G2, you have numbers advantage. Maybe even go for like a late. Actually, Mimi doesn't have that wall, so can't actually do that one. Just looking to take another fight. Okay. She is confident. Would you look at that?
3 left alive. Viper's pit is down, and the plant coming through. Baby TZ will be able to convert that one. So 3 versus 5. G2 on the retake. Resurrection for Mimi, but she's not looking to use it. She wants to fight into this pit.
And look, into this pit, you have a Seeker, you have a Seize, you have Paint Shells, you have a Haunt. Like, so much utility for G2 to flush X10 out of it.
There's the first layer. Seize nade. Shorty for Baby TZ, though. If these players get wounded by the pit, she could find so much value. 1 HP on glance, but Baby TZ is down. Just 2. They're deafened. They're dead. Mimi on her 3rd, and Ginny in main. She's trapped, and this one might just be over. G2, 13-4, make a statement in their opener on LAN.
What a start for this team here. Another day at the office, locking things up for G2, giving the fans a little bit of a show here as well. And honestly, like, in such a cool fashion, right? Switching things up completely after losing Game 5 to Guild. The first time they lose in Game Changers on Icebox, they say, you know, forget that last comp. We're going to take our youngest player, we're going to put her on the chamber, no more Sage duty, and she and the rest of the team take over the server on map 1.
Yeah, some real innovation for G2. We've seen FPX play this comp before, but he's very much not in vogue here on Icebox. However, they make it work very well. And X10, well, I think in the early days of that game, they had some good ideas, some good adaptations. It took them a little bit too long to make that change, particularly once G2 got that read in the latter half of that first part of the game.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? You know, Ginny is such an experienced IGL, and I think she figured out what the pivot needed to be for the team, but it came round 9, right? The last 3-4 rounds of the half, maybe a little bit too little, too late for X10. There are also a couple of heartbreak moments. You think the pistol round where Alyssa almost wins that out for the squad, but it gets shut down, and I just really liked the way G2 were playing, especially like with these forward Sage walls on the B side, always trying to play off one another, really keeping it flexible round to round.
Yeah, they really did, and I think for X10 as well, a couple of their players, a very slow start to this LAN debut. Muffin in particular, normally a player who is the absolute top of the scoreboard for this team, was very much shut down by G2, so X10 really hoping to take this time to rally, get that chat in, and try and turn this around.
Muffin's going to be really important. We got an Op Kingdom over on Breeze, so needs to be able to show up, but also Baby TZ, really nasty with the lurks on Breeze. I was really impressed watching some of her gameplay, so it's not over just yet for G2.
Yeah, and you talk about the lurks, we'll have Mimi most likely playing that more traditional Cypher as well. Maybe I'll go hop in the server. We'll see if they let it happen. We're gonna go figure that one out, but before then, we got a little break here and then the desk to break things down.
Well, we had some questions regarding G2 Gozen's Icebox, and it seems like they have answered them all. I'm your host, Yingsu, and I'm back on the desk with Athena and Kakuka. We were worried. We were like, why don't we pick Icebox? But Kakuka, of course, they're always proving us wrong.
I mean, definitely. And this last half, I think I kind of understood why Juliana wanted to go on that pick, because we saw her surfing around the map and actually making and giving us a lot of value. We know that especially when it came to the attack original in the previous camp, she's all about the lurks and, you know, trying to be a little bit cheeky with that. But now that she has the extra mobility, you know, I kind of dig it.
Yeah, I mean, with Juliana on that pick, you know, you kind of had her going and entering first, and I was getting a little worried, but then we had Mary coming in with the follow-up, and on that attack side, it kind of looked a little shaky for both of them just because they weren't necessarily getting the picks that they needed, but they ended up playing it out and playing it perfectly.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Polly in there with the 4 first bloods as well. I feel like it could have been a lot even harder for G2, Athena, in that defense half because of Polly.
Yeah, I mean, Polly was even like pushing up towards places that she definitely should not have been in. She was getting multiple multi-kill rounds, and I think for Polly, like, she really tried to put her team on her shoulders in that game. But yeah, like we see Mary actually finally grabbed a hold of that op, which is what I was talking about, taking that space. Yeah, she heard everything that I said. She took the space, she took the picks, she had the confidence, and once she got a hold of that op, it was pretty much impossible to get pushed past Mary.
3 things that were key for me on Mary performing like this is, 1, Glance saving that first half. I think did a lot for that. The fact that Mimi is no longer playing on the Killjoy, that now she's on the stage. So Mary is going to be the sole sentinel. She's going to be guarding and creating that pressure on the angles that need to be guarded, especially on the defense. That was where her role was going to be the most heavy. So seeing her perform, I hope that gave her the confidence boost that I think she needed after the first half.
I know we didn't see that many rounds, but are you convinced by this new role change, Mary, on the chamber?
No, I think I need to see more, definitely. But what I do say, and what I did really like, from the Series 2 in EMEA to Series 3, Mimi had a drop in performance that was like 40 points, over 40 points of ACS, and all of this that's just going worse. But this is the kind of Mimi that I wanted to see. I knew that this was going to be the Mimi that we got on LAN.
I mean, we mentioned Polly already, but I do want to take a closer look at her stats as well, because even if they lose the next map, it's not over. We're going to get to see Polly play again, no matter what happens. And what a player she is as well, Athena. I do feel like G2 goes, and maybe they're slightly too big of a Titan for them, but they definitely have a chance in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, with that meta and that comp that they picked, they definitely needed more rounds on the defense side, but Polly still held her own. Even playing just the controller, she was solo pushing once she realized that she could get that space, and I think that her having that confidence coming into the next map might actually be like an insane thing.
Yeah, and we've got the Aim Lab shoot around as always, you guys, and this time around we've got Juliana. We're going to take a look at what she's doing to prep for map 2, and she is one of the rare duelist IGLs we have in the game, and the fact that she's putting in the numbers that she's putting up with her role, I think is extremely impressive.
Yeah, I mean, being an IGL and being a duelist, a lot of IGLs hate doing that because you're going in first. You can't see your team behind you. You are calling the shots and you are kind of making that first push and that first impression, but as soon as you die, you kind of have to start microing everyone around you. So being that person, like, you can't do it while you're alive in the back. You have to focus on your crosshair and push and push and push, and I think Juliana is just doing an amazing job at that.
Yeah, and of course, she needs to warm up. Of course, if she's going to play Raze. We saw the surprise on the first map. There's at least one more to go. We expect more surprises coming into the tournament, and I think that she's going to keep performing. Maybe not the most brilliant of her performance, but it's the first time that they were testing this, and Mary playing on the chamber for the first time as well. So we're going to give them a little bit of space.
Our expectation for them is so high. They win 13-4, and we're like, they could do better.
No, because the feeling that I got coming out of C9 White is like they demolished them. Like they were doing with them whatever they wanted. From G2 and X10, I didn't get the same feeling. Most of it was because of Polly and Genie playing some picks that were insane. They were not scared of them. They were jumping onto the side, and you will see them taking the duels, and I'll be like, you go, girl.
Yeah, I mean, for me, just to go on to that as well, like G2 had to take a timeout and talk about it. When the scoreline started getting close, that's when you notice that, like, okay, wait, they need to figure out something out. And obviously they ended up figuring it out, worked out well. But again, it was a lot closer of a game, especially at the beginning. So that's kind of what the feeling I think you're describing is. Yeah. Because C9, obviously they didn't have to take any pauses. But I think, again, X10 took both their timeouts, and unfortunately, they didn't kind of get it until the end, and that's why I'm saying, like, they definitely needed more defense-sided rounds. They started getting it towards the end, but it just wasn't enough.
All right, Carcass, no more timeouts, right? Like, with these, why are we not believing in G2 all of a sudden? I'm gonna need you guys to win even more dominantly. And speaking of, we are moving on to the next map, which is Breeze, and I'm gonna eat my own words. Although we do want to see them, you know, at their best. X10 on Breeze, Kakuga, they look really, really good.
Yeah, exactly. This is one of the most played maps alongside with Icebox, I believe. So, of course, there's a lot of repetitions from them. G2 on the last 6 months, they played it a couple of times. And it wasn't even that they played it against Guild when it came to finals. So it was a pretty long time ago. I want to see what they do with the roles. And also watch out, because when we jump into agent picks, we talked on the pre-show, there were some changes coming in for KO. There's changes coming in from Sky, very important ones. So we'll see how that's one will go. If I see someone shooting at a Sky Flash, I'm going to be mad.
Yeah, I mean, we just went from Icebox with no flashes on the agents, and now we're going to go into Breeze where you literally have to have some sort of flash agent. So that is really exciting to see. And yeah, I mean, again, like Breeze for both these teams has seemed to be, I know G2 hasn't played it a lot, but they have won it when they have played it. Like it has been like a 2-0, I think, in their past game changers. And so for X10 to have it as their stronger map, I think they might possibly have the edge here.
And also, I want to say, Kakuga, because I know how much you love Cypher, you know, your favorite ulti in the whole game, which, you know, that's a story for another time, but we don't often see 2 Cyphers on the server these days, and this is where we might see that. Would you like to see Mimi, especially, you know, going back to that as well?
So here's the thing, I wonder, now that we have seen Mary going on the chamber, is this something that we're going to see replicated here? Is it Juliana playing on the Jet? You know, now that they've given us a little bit, now we want everything, like if you give us a hand, we take the arm, because of course you give us a chance and we want to see all the changes.
So he's so relaxed. I want to be as relaxed as him.
So relaxed. But yeah, I do not know what to expect, even though I love Cypher.
Yeah, I think Cypher is super viable. I love him on Breeze. His bald head, you know, there's just something about it. There's something going on there. But yeah, I think Chamber is like, when he takes off his hat. No. With Chamber, with Mary kind of being more confident, I think that that is a pick that wouldn't be crazy. I think it would be a pick that works on defense. But again, it would change for attack. Like if they have that space maker and Mary's going in second, like is she going to be able to capitalize off of that?
Yeah, the thing is, like, what do we do with Giuliano? Like, are you maybe going to put her on a Neon? Are we going to see something crazy like that, like extra explosive? And what are you going to do with your initiators? Because, for example, we know that Giuliano can play Viper, but we know the Glance it's ideal to be for her on that position. So, of course, a lot of the questions are on that side. I still want to know if we expect any kind of surprises on the other side, because they're playing like the most traditional side of the composition on the side of X10.
Yeah,
so
I got a stat for you. They've played this comp 17 times. This is ridiculous. Like, they do not change their comp, but also we talk about the Cypher. Baby TZ on this map is insanely impactful. I'm 100% expecting her to be playing the Cypher, but again, having 2 on the server, I don't know about you guys. When I first saw 2 Killjoys on the server at Champions, I was like, what? this is happening? Where are the chambers at?
Well, especially before the latest Cypher changes to come into the game, it's definitely going to be a surprise, but we still need to wait and see if that is going to be the case. Again, I'm going to remind quickly to the people at home what the Sky changes are. Basically, one, you cannot break that flash, and secondly is the fact that you can no longer play for yourself that much, because now the flash needs to be charged. So either you glitch it, and please don't glitch things.
That's illegal.
No, either you find a spot where you can delay it a little bit and actually play for it, or you have to play for your teammates constantly, and it's actually going to have a better impact.
Yeah, I really wonder, like, the flashes are such a huge aspect into this, and I'm really curious because, again, like on Icebox, we didn't see that, and so maybe this might be something that X10 is playing on their comfort pick, so they might be able to play with those flashes a little better, especially if the role changes come in. Like, switching to a flash character is a whole new deal. It's one of the hardest characters to change. If you're not blinding your teammates, you're not doing it right.
I love initiators.
Really?
Yeah. KO Fate. I love Fate. I love Fate. It gets into your brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, also we do have the KO changes as well. And again, it's just on the same line. The pop flash is forced for you, but the other one is the best for the team.
We're into the Prime Gaming agent select here. On Icebox, we saw some changes, but again here, X10, they play Breeze with this comp 17 different times. I think G2 is where we're looking to see if they are going to keep with the changes we saw on Icebox.
Oh my god.
There's 2 chamber players.
2 chambers, 1 neon, let's go.
I'm glad Mary is the first person we're going to see to locking her agent, because then it answers all of our questions. There we go.
Oh my god. Second time for Mary, second map today. Petra's going to be going on the Sova. That's something that we expected.
Oh my god!
She's actually viable. I want to see the other change
on the KO.
The other change that we expected to see, sorry, the other change that came in also with this patch, the Lear no longer has that restriction of length. Is going to come out a little bit faster. It's going to last a little bit less, but I think overall it makes the agent more playable. Giuliano being the player that she is, she loves the lurks, she loves the cheeky picks. I think it could work with her and definitely adds on to the power force that you have open in the sides with the KO, the Sova, and then the Lear.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it could be super, super powerful, and I think that the only thing that it lacks is that you don't have that space that you need. So I'm just interested to see how it plays out.
I can't wait to see it either. You might not like the Reyna pick at home, guys, but don't worry. It's Giuliano on the Reyna, and Ender and Mimi, you guys know exactly how strong this pick is.
Well, see, it would seem like we're making ourselves at home, because I don't know if I like the Reyna pick either.
You're not quite sure. See, look, here's the thing, is I was casting with Pansy, right? EMEA Game Changers.
Sure.
And Giuliano walks in the Reyna on Pearl, and I tell Pansy, right, like, this is ridiculous, this Reyna pick has no place in the game, and then she just pounds Guild on Pearl with it. It looks so good, it's so hard to talk it down, and yet with the buffs too, like the Lear has become a real ability. I am hard coping right now, because I still don't know if I love it, but if anyone's gonna get frags and make it happen, it's gotta be Giuliano.
Well, we'll have to see what these changes will bring. G2 and X10, map number 2. And for X10, this is a must-win if they want to stay in this upper bracket. And again, they're faced with a surprise.
Yeah, X10, first the Raze fade on Icebox, now the Reyna out of Giuliano.
Okay.
And look at that, Mary activating early on.
The desk wanted to see maybe a little bit more of Mary on the chamber. We're getting it nice and early.
Hey,
We're getting some content out of her. A beautiful shot to start things off. And X10 conceding all their space in mid off of that.
And the thing is, X10 play Breeze on the attack so slowly. It doesn't matter if it's eco round, buy round, pistol round, anything. Like, they very slowly work forward. Usually you're gonna find Baby TZ really testing for these late lurks, like up halls, maybe through elbow if they're over towards the B site. And those lurk timings have looked really good for Baby TZ. She finds really good openings to sort of sneak into the enemy backlines, but it can be punished through early mid-aggression. That's what we saw from Mary, and already Baby TZ spotted.
And she's causing trouble. Opens that door, pulls rotations towards A. All 3 players anchored here, but maybe could catch the rotation. Maybe he's actually dropping through the hatch into mid, but Mimi takes her head straight off. Maybe a bit misguided on that drop, but with the pressure coming through halls, she had no other option. Mary, another one. This time onto Muffin. X10 is just being picked to pieces. Vultures from all sides.
Yeah, Mary runs down mid, gets a kill, rotates, runs down hall, gets another. It is falling apart.
And that's Flash.
A Prime Gaming flawless to kick off Breeze, and it's Mary leading the charge.
I think thus far in this series, what I've been impressed with from G2 is Mimi and the flexibility she's showing now. A change being made off of her very, very strong Killjoy on Icebox. And now here again, she's being taken off of that role, put on the KO instead, moved away from the lurk.
Yeah, all of the agents that Mary previously been playing, Mimi has just picked that up. So, I mean, not letting the learning curve really show at all. We'll see how that progresses throughout the tournament for her, because she's playing now a variety of different agents with very different feels between the KO and the Sage. It's a new look for G2, and it's a strong look for them as well.
Mary, another shot to get things going. Baby TZ will find something here. So back to a 4 versus 4. Petra does trade back, though. So let's see if X10 can get anything else on damage. It is just Baby TZ with that weapon in hand.
Okay, wait, Baby TZ just waiting for that late lurk, and this is what I was gonna say, like, Baby TZ, it's not necessarily always pushing, trying to take space, but you're gonna see her play B window a lot. Have maybe a tripwire or a camera sort of guarding that for a moment. I don't know how Polly is here. It's 2 versus 2 out of nowhere. X10 just seemingly everywhere on the map at the moment, and Giuliano taken down to 49.
These 2 players from G2 are playing a single-player game right now, completely separated from one another, but the same is true of X10. This is just ships passing through a channel together. Who will find who first? In main, sitting tucked is Glance, and Polly wants to take this space. The question is, does she commit deep enough to clear bricks?
Well, the thing is, she doesn't have Spike, so she may actually continue this push forward, right? She's trying to buy space for Baby TZ to get in. She's going to see the barrel.
No way!
But Glance out of the peripheral grabs that one. And now 15 seconds left, Baby TZ and a Marshall in hand. Glance surely is able to shut that down. A bit dodgy for a moment, but G2 close it out.
All right, G2. Second round there, it gets a little bit dicey yet again, but they are able to convert. I think the biggest question in this composition is how the Reyna works. Because on the attacking side, I feel like it's kind of, okay, you're just subbing out the jet positions. You don't have the die, so maybe a hull split is a little bit more possible, but it's generally the same role. But here on defense, it's kind of different without having that same escape tool.
Yeah, you know, it's...
I mean, I guess she does, but you have to get the kill
She does. You got to
first.
get the kill. That's the thing, right? And I mean, Giuliano usually able to find the kills. Maybe it doesn't matter quite as much, but it does mean I think it's a little bit harder to go for like the super aggressive mid plays. Like Giuliano is going to play mid doors, but it's way harder to just sprint down mid like a jet could.
Yeah, well, talk of people sprinting down mid. It is just Mary picking up that role. Second time she's done that kind of roll out with the chamber TP bottom of mid, and doesn't look like G2 is going to be committing to that fight. Just wanted early pressure, see if they could get away with a kill, but it's not happening.
You can see though, X10 sort of take that space, slow down, wait to see where the re-aggress is going to come. G2 have been very willing to go for these a little bit later mid pushes. You can see again Mimi challenging down elbow. But Baby TZ in classic position right here. If you've done your homework, if you watched any Breeze VODs with X10, you will know this is Baby TZ's favorite position on the map. She is always here. And I think this time Mimi a little bit more patient after running into that Marshall in the previous round, not over pushing out of elbow.
Noise being made here in main. This dog should still be spotted. Looks like G2 might actually want to flank, yeah.
Yeah, we've been able to work with Mary all the way down mid, and Mimi goes for the over push again. Baby TZ camps there 9 out of 10 rounds. If she's not there, she is going to be pushing into your spawn somehow.
But Mary could cut this rotation, has 5 bullets in the headhunter, re-established on the same line, but there's a cage across. X10 have the site now. Bar one player tucked close on the site is Glance, but Muffin's aware. An entry from her. We needed her to step up for X10. She's doing so with a big frag. Still, not out of the danger zone. G2 fast on this retake. Wally's coming down. And all these angles are so difficult to clear. Muffin trying to swing. There's Polly from the other side, and Ginny is there on the trade. Only Mary. She's low, and it's only a headhunter. She'll find a second. 1 bullet. 2 players against her. The door opening. A 1v1 against Alyssa. And she's missed the shot. Now just a classic. Now barely a chance in this one. She wants a gun. She needs a gun. Make this one happen. At this point, it might just be a matter of damage. And Mary has another. She's only 16, and she's making this happen. Her first land, maybe a clutch. She needs to get this halfway, but Alyssa will swing, and she'll shut it all down.
Alyssa necessary to win the round out for X10. But my God, Mary sees a Vandal on the ground. I was like, no, I actually feel better with the Sheriff, right? After the headhunter looks that good, is able to do that. Oh man. What a performance, and yet some crack showing, I think, for G2, right? With Mimi again, maybe it's the bonus for her,
sure.
So going for maybe a little bit more of an aggressive push. But I think you definitely need to be aware from this default from X10.
By the way, Mary has tour de force on round 4.
Oh.
That's pretty reasonable in common,
yeah,
I would say.
That's reasonable. We would love to see that right now, especially with, again, aggressive mid-peaks for G2. They go for this all the time, although the 2 players you want sort of fighting forward didn't find that angle. It's going to be Mimi for 2, make it a 3rd. You cannot get past her.
Absolutely not. Another Prime Gaming flawless in the hands of G2. Their 3rd round here. X10 try something a little bit faster, and they get nothing for it.
So X10, how do you switch this up? I mean, again, it's not going to be a buy. They have a little bit longer to think about things coming through for them, but I mean, they just run into the meat grinder here. It looked like the trade was almost there for Muffin. Like the timing wasn't even like that long. It was maybe half a second, the spacing between those two players, which isn't that unreasonable, but Mimi, just a brick wall, unbreakable.
Look at G2 though. Might have the read on this one. 2 players towards B main, a drone tag connecting. Xen do want to just push this in. Giuliano in the corner. This is where Reyna can shine. She gets a kill. She can just pop on out, but she'll stick around for more. Second and the dismiss. Easy hold.
The back-to-back Prime Gaming flawlesses from G2. And a rare full commit onto a site from X10, I think, just sort of trying to switch up the tempo on G2, throw that one into the mix, because on rifle rounds, that is just not the MO of X10. And I think maybe for them, we could see them take a little bit more proactive of a look with Baby TZ. Sure. Again, she really likes to work over towards halls, and one of the things that's been very effective for them in the past is sort of playing Baby TZ towards halls, the rest of the team up elbow, and then by showing a lot of presence in elbow, that pulls your sort of halls watch, that float player, usually going to be maybe a Sova on the other side, the scout player, and that gives the timing for Baby TZ to actually push all the way towards spawn, catch out that player by Nest. I'd maybe like to see them look to go into that, especially with how aggressively G2 have been fighting for mid. I think that taking another angle, X10 have been running all through bottom mid. Let's fight through elbow, switch things up, give G2 another look.
Okay, so they will be trying to make that change. OB again in the conversation here for the side of X10. And for G2, honestly, they're just kind of chilling out. So much of this early aggression has all been predicated on Mary. She's really playing this role similarly to how that Jet would, and it's been working very well for them thus far. And
for Mary, the youngest player in the tournament at 16, her story has just been insane too, because no one expected G2, who'd been so dominant in EMEA, to drop Zaz. Legendary TAC FPS
I mean,
player.
Not even drop, she just kind of makes a decision, makes her way out of the team, and now there's these huge shoes to fill. And who do they find? A 16-year-old Bahraini girl who steps up into this team, her first competitive team in Valorant, and just gets off on the ground absolutely sprinting.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, right? She gets out sprinting in the, support roles, right? The Sage, the KO, playing a lot of those. Now on the Chamber, and once again working down mid. But this setup...
And she does it again, by the way.
She does it again. Somehow she just finds that one more time. It does look like X10 was going for a similar setup with that elbow push, but somehow Giuliano has made this timing through shop. No one's going to be ready if Baby TZ is able to step out here and does see Giuliano there. Baby TZ might want to press out of cave.
She actually finds Mimi in that one, swinging deep into sight. She figures that if Giuliano is that far down hall, she'll be able to swing and get a kill on sight. The decision is correct. And now X10 actually looks to re-push and re-clear this space that they could have lost. Very well done by Baby TZ.
Yeah, Baby TZ finds these openings so frequently in the regional space. And, usually you look on a map like Breeze and you're like, oh, Jet, pick up the operator, go crazy. Yeah, Muffin, fantastic player in her own right. But I would sort of liken Baby TZ to a player like Nats almost, who just has that uncanny ability to find the perfect lurk timings there. Even working through a main, like, you don't really think that's a place you would lurk. But yeah, playing on her own is able to just find that kill on the player over by stairs. And now the rest of X10 ready to move into the site.
Jenny is going to pop her ult here to help with the scale, but it's too late. Giuliano gets one, gets out, and Glance anchors a double of her own. Round's already over, 16 seconds. This timer has ticked so far, and despite the early advantages, X10 get nothing.
10 seconds left.
Just all falls apart. Jenny has to call for the save on that one. Again, I think the right idea, but a solo player in bottom mid when Mary is in the server, I just don't think is the right idea. She is going to find a chance every time.
Yeah, and for X10, again, they're staring down the barrel of a very tough scoreline, 5-1. That first tactical timeout already used. So this is the moment where you need your IGL. You need Jenny to make the call. She's been here before. She's not a new player. She's not new to the scene. Before this, she was competing at the highest level in her region, in Thailand. She was one of the only female players in all of APAC competing in a mixed team, back in Counter-Strike, and also in the early days of Valorant. Now here with X10, she's the leader you need to try and build back in.
And sort of the player to lead the charge in the big upset over Alter Ego, the leader for the team. Now the hero rifle for her, the knives on Muffin too is able to open things up in mid, but Giuliano and Mimi are not done. They're going for the reaggress. Giuliano is insane. Look at her continue the push as Mimi is there to trade everything on through. A triple for her, and that round over before it started.
G2 does not give a damn. They are not giving any respect at this point in the game, just pushing all the way through. And I want to ask you this question quick. Do you think the Reyna is something they want to play consistently in this map, or is this just like, we're playing insane today, let's get confident, let's do something crazy?
That's the thing, is like, I know that Giuliano is a fan of the Reyna, right? She does play it on the pro. She's an average Reyna enjoyer, and they also have just promised us that they are playing crazy things, right? Things that no other teams are playing. So it would not shock me if this Reyna was something that stuck around for Giuliano.
I'm liking it more and more as the game goes on, but what I've also been enjoying is Mary on this chamber, and this time it's not the rifle that often said. None of these sky flashes connect, by the way. An entire belt of utility dumped into her, but Mary still finds a shot, only one. Baby TZ rips her head off through the wall, and back to a 4 versus 4, but still this Viper's Pit, a thorn in the side towards main.
How do X10 deal with this? They have the positioning, perhaps try to split in, pincer her down on that pit, but with the way Petra has angled herself in mid right on top of that wall, that could instantly get shut down. If these players try to rotate out from double doors, instead of just trying to use those seekers to scout out the players inside the pit, here comes the pinch.
They only know one player
Petra!
is towards B, but Petra, she's on top of the wall.
That is
what
insane.
An angle.
That is an angle you play like in the super late post plants on your attacking side. That is not an angle you get to just punish the attackers from themselves.
They're pushing out of the pit. Mimi took a fight. It's only Glance on this site now. This round is still very much in question. Maybe trying to find her timing to push through, or maybe just biding her time to wait.
So Petra has the ult, but she's gonna have to work through mid, and Baby TZ hasn't moved in the last 10 years. She has just been camped on these doors. She's heard everything from Petra. She is prepared. She will lock down those doors. Now Glance versus the world. Ginny there to secure the round.
That is the round that X10 needed. G2 tries something cool there, but X10, the patience pays off this time. They don't overcommit into that Viper's Pit. They wait to gain the information. I think if this team has one asset, it's in these late rounds, not overheating, not overcommitting, being able to slow things down and make the right call.
That's very true. It's a team that sort of, we talked to one of the casters in the APAC region, Quack, who gave us a ton of information, some history here on X10 Sapphire. It said, Ginny sort of thinks about the game almost like it's an RTS, right? So it's like, play very slow early rounds, absorb as much information as possible, and then make really strong mid-round decisions. I think the weakness here has been that G2 are just fighting them before X10 can get all that info that they'd love. But with an early first kill, a rarity for X10 this game, they might be able to change things up.
I think this is only the second time they've been able to shut down Mary on one of these openings. And now they have a lot of options. Split towards B, that's the decision. Muffin in quick, a dash through. Spots a player towards the half wall, and Mimi could be in trouble, but the flash is there to support. Petra finds two. Polly trying to trade back. Ginny needs something here as G2 is zoned behind that wall. And now with the Viper's Pit down, this post plant potent. Giuliano's just pushing in close. She has a timing on this one. Wait a minute. Can she find it? No. Polly too aware. Just Glance now 1 versus 3. And the pit up. A dart in her face. It misses though. Is that misinformation? Did they realize? Is the calm there? Yes. Baby TZ spots her out. Holds her time. Holds the angle. But Glance finds it. 1 versus 2 now. That pit is waiting. The abyss on the other side. She's yet to find a single player in that timer. Her biggest enemy still. A Molly on the spike. And the players so far back. Glance just needs to spot the edge of one. The Viper there, a flick around, but Ginny playing the long con. She'll wrap all the way back through. Glance is aware, but she cannot find the shot. Ginny shuts down.
Glance went from being aware, just the aware emote. The smile turned upside down on that one. And Ginny is able to secure the round. She had a couple of clutch moments too, back on that Icebox map. And now on Breeze, try and stay alive in the series. So necessary. I love that too, right? Catching Giuliano, trying to cancel out the plant from going down. And the round slips away at the last possible second. Very important as X10 try to build back in here, because I think they have been very successful in the past attacking on this map.
Yeah. That round a lot faster from X10, and that seems to be the decision again. Thrown straight into A main, but that's the issue with these faster plays. G2's composition has a lot of utility to slow you down, and now they have 4 players ready on this site.
Look at the high-low, right? Glance and Mimi playing on that same angle, ready, but the Viper Wall does cut it off. G2 don't really have any forward scouting, so X10 actually able to sneak 4 players out and try and push past this Viper Wall. Mimi's ready, that was not caught by the flash, and the crossfire, the lineup, it is all here. Baby TZ, the sole survivor.
Wall in her face, 1 versus 5. Something tells me this is beyond the reach of Baby TZ as G2 set up together. Giuliano, ready for the trade. He's patient for but a moment, but now just look to hound her down with his utility, not give her a chance in this one. The swing is through. That's the commitment, and that's her downfall. G2 reply.
Oh, what do you do here? G2's early aggression has just been so painful for X10. Then when it doesn't even come, you just know there's 3 players anchored down on site, ready to just shoot you down the second you try to go for a play yourself. And like, not even just the high-low there, but you also have Giuliano double doors, right? So the second you're coming through that Viper Wall, Giuliano's shooting you in the side. So it's a 90-degree, the high-low, it's just all there. And X10 really struggling to push past. You can see actually big light armor enjoyers, even with some money in the bank. Ginny and Baby TZ gonna make sure they have enough for rifles in the next.
Last round, it was just push down mid, and again, G2 go for it. This time, X10 ready to receive. I think that was a big win condition in the previous round for them. Having that fast rotation to be able to have 4 immediately on that A site. This time, X10 deny that space and the information.
The thing is, though, Giuliano is also here. And another mid-aggress. Now that X10 have fully cleared, they've bailed out of mid. This could turn into a very quick flank option. There's not actually a tripwire over in cannon, so if Giuliano is just feeling completely wild,
They're holding
you could just
for it,
go
though.
for this.
Polly, oh, the timing, she turns around. Giuliano has it, doesn't get greedy, falls away. B site will be lost here. A retake down for G2.
That's your Viper Wall that you just lost there. Like, X10 have no coverage once they get on site. Luckily, they got through, but now Petra is stalling. It's going to be a shooting gallery here as all of G2 rotate to B.
And look at the utility that they have for this retake. Full belts on both of their initiators. That orb for Glance to pop down and try and defuse. X10 haven't even gotten the spike down yet, and G2 is already pushing in. Dart for the backside, gets broken immediately. No scans. X10 need to take these fights. They need to win them. They need to try and stall out, but Petra quickly a flash in a lineup. Only one. Ult is coming through, and Ginny is stuck with her bow in her hand, and Baby TZ alone now. Finds one of the spam, but the health is low. A 1v2, and Mimi ready for it. G2, 8-4.
What a pick from Giuliano, removing the Viper from play, and like you said, the utility on that retake just flawless, clearing out the little cubby outside of B main, and then fully working as a team into backside. Right there just sort of shuts down your ability to play the round, right? You can't actually play in B main, so it's all 4 players of X10 backside. Without the Viper Wall, you can't play cubby. Really hard to play up near half wall as well. Very excited on top of everything else here is going into the final round of the half. It is literally a thrift store purchase for X10. Just hand-me-downs galore, light armor on 4 players. It is not pretty.
Well, let's see if they can maybe use something to make a round out of this. 2 flashes into main. Giuliano a pick. Choke it away as well. Quick dismiss, but she wants more. Giuliano has been hungry this game. She has been greedy and wants another as well. I suppose that's one of the gifts of Reyna. You get 2 dismisses, not just 1 compared to your Chamber or Jet. As long as you're killing them.
Hey, that is very true. That is very true. And, I mean, the question is, does a Reyna player ever use her ultimate?
No.
no, they just don't. It's the last round of the half. Giuliano has it. Hasn't popped it yet. We'll see if it comes through eventually.
There
but
we
here
go,
we go.
as you say it.
We are zooming down halls, opening up that door to find another way to pinch out onto site. This is an aggressive X10, and the trade is good, but there's still Mimi on site here, and you gotta pull out your gun to fight her.
Oh, she'll find one. Not quite the second, Ginny. 1 versus 2, and it will not do. 9-3 for G2.
Great way to start off the half. G2 just gave us the formula to beating X10. When X10 are on the attack, it is fight them early, deny them the ability to slow play and gain the information. And when these side hits come through, always down in numbers, the G2 anchors, and Mimi especially, on fire.
Yeah. Baby TZ still having a good half there, but the rest of the team struggling to contend with G2. We'll hear what the desk has to say about all that.
It's a 9-3 half here for G2 Goes, and they nearly, I felt like we could have seen a momentum shift at one point for X10 Athena when they chained 2 rounds together towards the end.
Kind of almost finally took it a place that they really needed to take it. They kind of broke the momentum. They took the space that they needed way towards mid. They started putting pressure towards mid and forcing G2 to kind of take space back and make them hesitate. And they actually played it really, really well, because in that next round, they actually ended up going towards B. So here's a round that I do want to talk about, just the momentum breaker on that round 8. Alyssa actually walked out behind the Viper ult, and she kind of made a play towards mid. And so when the Viper ulted A main, Alyssa walked into site, took that space, because she knew that they weren't playing on site. They were playing in that A main ult. And then after that, the entire team took mid, took the space back, put pressure. And the next round, you started seeing G2 kind of hesitating, putting pressure towards mid, trying to get the info. And off of that, X10 played it just perfectly well.
So here's the thing. In so many occasions, we have seen X10, you know, after that pause, I think that they start working the map a lot more, because Breeze is such a big map, you know, with a lot of mid space, and you have to control it. And for those 2 rounds, you know, they were putting the pressure, they were working a little bit of the map here and there, and then they go back to being, I don't know, overconfident and just this 5-woman pushes, 5-woman pushes. I hate to say this, okay, but the Sky Flash has changed. You cannot pop flash after the Viper wall, because it's not going to be as effective, and we saw it over and over again. G2 weren't even that scared to be in a rough position, because it's going to be just a second off a flash. So, you know, moving forward into what this next half is going to be, we need to talk about how Giuliano is going to be playing on that Reyna. Our casters were making fun of when do you use the ult when you're playing Reyna? Well, definitely in the defense, it has to be in a very tricky situation. Giuliano, I don't think that she's probably going to use it for the entry, but we need to compare it with who has to shut her down directly. That has to be Muffin. Both players have been kind of absent in this first half, just because the rest of the team was doing the work. Baby TC on the side of X10. Beautiful things coming in from Mimi and the rest of the team on the side of G2. But moving into the next half, these two need to have a lot of head-to-heads.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we saw them kind of like trying to get the momentum back. Again, they kind of did the same thing on Icebox, where they started shifting towards the right answer towards the end for X10, but then they kind of lost it again. And so, you know, it is a 9-3 curse. Maybe we can see them bring it back, but I'm sure that going forward, it's going to have to be a lot different of a new strat.
Yeah, and G2, 100% win rate on the pistol so far. We want to see if X10 can break this, as I hand this back to your casters to go back into the second half. Over to you, Mimi and Ender.
A big round here for X10 Sapphire as they start off their defensive side with a double push towards mid.
Oh yeah, already. I mean, it's not even mid, it's just straight down into elbow. Now, are they ready for the Baby TZ position that Glance is currently occupying? And are they ready for this massive Halls push? There's a Cypher trip right there, but the Lear actually does catch Ginny. She might not want to re-push into this, with Giuliano absolutely posted up on the angle.
Yeah, and in this composition, you don't have jet smokes to flash out of, or a flash to get your way, or excuse me, a dash to get your way onto site there. So those hall splits are made really difficult. Instead, G2 actually fall back, but Baby TC could be in a good position here holding in mid.
Good news for those pushes, the Lear is actually way more reliable coming out of the hall doors as opposed to the KO Flash. The KO Flash, not a ton of value because there's so many angles for those A players to hide on and sort of re-swing into you. And yet, going to be fully sending players down halls. Mary does get shut down as the Viper wall does end up coming down, but it's a little bit late. G2 are just sort of fighting their way out of this. Alyssa not going to want a piece of that as she does get tagged up on the exchange, but very likely the plant does manage to go down here.
Maybe trying to flash through this wall, but the right click's not quite turnable.
Ooh.
Will be 2 for G2. They want to keep fighting, though. A third picked up. Maybe 2 of her own in the back lines. Polly is so low on HP. Petra just toying with her, biding her time, but wait a minute. Polly found 2 on 1 HP, and Baby TC just comes in. What just happened?
I actually have just no idea. Polly, yeah, one shot would have absolutely just taken her down. She's able to win out the round for the team. A huge round to take for X10. You absolutely love that out of Polly. If someone's going to find a moment, in this defensive half. It's almost got to be Polly, one of your strong anchors for the team to shut down the late attacks. And as that whole sort of protection, she gets that first kill. And as her sight hold falls apart, she's late round coming back in to reinforce the team, swing back here, and just instantly, I mean, having to cover 2 different angles there, very quick on the readjustment to find the second kill.
Yeah, she was a bright spot for them back on Icebox, and she is doing it again here, coming alight for that first pistol round of the second half. I suppose there's only one pistol round in the second half.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think so.
Maybe there's a pistol round of some form or another.
That's true. Every round's a pistol round for a chamber, I suppose. You could sort of convince yourself of that. Is, yeah, Baby TZ just going to farm through the wall. Ooh, we still got the setup on the site, too. Look, I'm a huge Cypher enjoyer, and Muffin is going to enjoy the tags, playing off of her teammate's utility as X10 just clean up shop on the backside.
Yeah, very nice retake here. Glance does have some mollies to hold the post, but X10's going quickly. Muffin is just styling on them. And there are some post-plant lineups here, but surely nothing will come of them. Alyssa trying to hold, smoked off, the spam not hitting. It's already gone halfway, and Alyssa's just going to take it all the way home here for G2. Or excuse me, for X10.
Yeah, no, G2 going home after that round. You're going to have to rethink
they
things
are
before.
home.
They are home. That is true. That is true. But
the sidewalk taught me at least one thing.
Yeah, it is the house of Gozen. But hey, honestly, X10 looking strong here on the start of the defensive half. I do think most players did end up surviving here, so they can't really try to go for like a half rifle and Spectres sort of deal. Baby TC, checking it out, doesn't actually have enough to even upgrade into the rifle. So it is going to be a true bonus for them. See what sort of damage they can amass for themselves, because right now G2 are going to their favorite place on Breeze, and that is right down the middle.
X10 going for a double push here. Back towards Cannon, and he's being held for. And Muffin is in the perfect position here to try and find something. Glance, though, ready for it. Swings around the corner from Baby TZ's own favorite spot. Finds him of her own. And
Juliana surely saw the hat!
What is going on? The player not spotted there. Juliana goes up into a Cypher cage. There's players there to support. This is falling apart again for G2.
Oh no, I swear Giuliano could have seen the hat of Baby TZ over logs right there, but then jumped straight up into the nastiest one-way.
And they have Viper's Pit now for Polly.
Viper's Pit. All of a sudden, this round is starting to come together, and G2 don't have the ability to pinch on the pit from mid, instead just holding hands here with less than 100 HP between the two of them together. Yes, they have full utility on these players, but even then, they're gonna have to walk straight on forward. Mimi finds the first though, they've got a chance.
They're both on 1 HP. Have to work their way back into this pit, and Polly has a Spectre. Spam could be so dangerous. 30 seconds left to make that heist happen, and 2 layers of security to bypass. Knife will hit. Polly just swings out of it. Pit's down. It's just Ginny. 1 versus 2. She's found the first needs. The connection onto Mimi. 1 HP. No worry for her. A 10th round to G2.
Mimi is having a game right here. Absolutely massive. Even as the round nearly slips through her fingers. Mimi at 16-8. On the roll swap as well. Absolutely massive for the team, and yet full credit to X10 in this round, sort of carving this one up. The combination of Polly, who, by the way, clutched up that pistol round, and Baby TZ, so strong on the attacking side. Those are the 2 players I am looking at for the remainder of this half if they are going to stand up against this G2 team.
Yeah, G2 so resilient in these rounds that look impossible. They're going to be going a little bit faster into this one, straight towards the B site. KO ult to suppress that Viper utility. X10 playing close still, maybe considering fighting through it, but there's no flash to do so. So instead, they just get spammed down by Mimi, and now a post plant with a pit.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough, right? Because X10 make the decision we play off-site because there's the KO ult, and will full retake his 5 very quickly. But they get spammed through the wall, and it's like, now it's a 5 versus 4.
But double drone. They have both the dog and the drone to re-clear this, but Alyssa just goes in. Spam is there. Pit down. That's success for Ginny. Now a 3 versus 4. Mimi in the back lines will swing, trade it through, and Polly unable to make it happen. Another multi-kill for Petra.
Petra finds the multi-kill. Glance is able to hold the fort for a couple of kills in the pit as well there. And you don't get that anywhere else here. Look, it's many a time we've heard the G2 chants in this studio. G2 goes in a new squad that gets to do it as well. And I mean, full credit to this team. It has been a treat to watch today. So many changes over the last month and a half since the last time we saw them play, since we saw them be dethroned. And even after that loss, so many people still had very high expectations for them. And I think showing this different look today has just added a level of depth to this G2 roster that we weren't necessarily sure was there in terms of overall agent pool. They have integrated Mary in a way that's been so interesting to watch with Mimi's evolution alongside.
It has been really cool indeed. But for X10 now, this is where they have to dig deep. 11-5, their final tactical timeout will be taken here.
And I'm sort of scanning the money right now. It looks like 2,800 roughly where most players are going to be sitting, and that's before actually purchasing utility. X10 back on Icebox were in the same position. I think it was 11-4 at that point. And they said, no force, we're going to try to play for the tie. And I think that may be what you have to do here, because even in terms of ultimates, you got a Cypher ult, which, hey, if you're playing on the new patch, hey, it's pretty sweet ability. You got 2 tags now. You got to love that. But no, definitely not the same on this, on an eco. Muffin is 1 orb away from grabbing the knives, and I think that may be the best idea for X10, but even then, you're on defense, and Breeze is a map that just does not favor the defense to grab the early orbs. There's a lot of maps where you can, right? Like Icebox A-Site, maybe a good example of a place you can do that, but it is not the same. So Muffin instead has decided to go for Sheriffs, and it's 5 Sheriffs. Everyone is coming to the Wild West for X10.
We'll have to see if any robberies can happen on this one. Do we have some bandits in the server? Just a formality for G2. Muffin already has to use her dash early as she gets out of her deep position in mid. X10 is still looking to contest that space, though.
Yeah, who would win? 5 Sheriffs, 5 Samurai Warriors. Gozen. The name, I did some research. Yeah, typically refers to women samurai.
Pretty cool name.
Enough. Yeah, it makes sense with the G2 branding here. But swords or guns, what would you prefer? And G2 have 5 rifles, so
is this in Valorant?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know if I want a sword in Valorant. Maybe more of a rifle. Juliana, what's her preference? Let's see. Seems to be the Vandal in this situation.
Seems to be the gun. Yeah. X10 a little bit scattered in the approach, sort of trying to pressure all different angles. G2 gonna be able to shut this one down right here. And luckily for X10, I think it's gonna be probably light armor and rifles going into the next, but so far have yet to really find an answer against the G2 attack, especially when they've been leaving these sites open.
Petra will close things out. Map and series point here for G2. Only 5 rounds to X10 as they try and make something happen. They are back on the rifles here. Seekers to work with for Alyssa, a bit of a tool for their mid-round, but I mean, right now G2 is looking unstoppable.
Yeah, they are a different beast. We sort of, and I mean, this is preparing for the potential C9 matchup later today. Yeah. C9, who looked very dominant. G2, everyone had been waiting for that matchup. X10 with the last chance to play spoiler here, must win 7 rounds in a row, and hey, they've got some big ultimates. Seekers, you got the knives as well on Muffin. Maybe not the big game-changing ones. Muffin already pressuring, pushing down mid. This could open up the round with such a close position. Right around the corner, finds Mary, wraps around the opposite side as well, but no. G2 carved them to pieces, and it's a 2 versus 1. Polly, the last survivor.
A fight versus Mimi. Can she find it? Yes. Tap onto the head. Now a 1 versus 1 for the game, and Glance pushing around. The angle is there, and Polly's got the clutch.
The Red Bull clutch for Polly. She does it again. The pistol round, and then here as well. Polly has been the X factor in these late rounds for X10. Even after losing the initial fight in mid, she writes the course on that one. But how many more times in a row can she do it?
Yeah, you can beckon your team into the backpack once, but you need consistency to make a comeback against a team like G2.
You definitely do. Now, that being said, sort of examining that round as a whole, it was over so quickly. X10 didn't really have to invest anything. So now Ginny has actually been able to get the Hunter's Fury online. 2 Bulldogs on X10, so not perfect for them, but their solution here has just been unlock Muffin, put her in a position to find these early pushes. But she hasn't had the most success working down tunnel, or elbow. Excuse me, especially against Mimi, who has just been posted up here so many a time. Muffin looking for the reaggress, but not going to challenge it again.
Oh, Glance has worked her way up halls. Ginny holding for this one. She's actually considering.
Oh no, look at this!
There, and Muffin finds a timing behind this tripwire, though. Glance is trapped. This isn't a chamber. You cannot smoke that piece of information off. Giuliano finds one, and now Glance finds her opportunity. Ginny, though, quick on the reaction.
So often on Breeze, your Sova float is going to be the one to sort of lock down and stop mid from exploding, right? Because if you lose your nest player, you lose the ability to rotate on this map. You lose your spawn, you're all of a sudden concerned, are they going to be pinching me from back bridge, from back arches, over towards the B site? Everything could fall apart. So Ginny showing up at the final hour, so critical for her team holding on here. And now rotating to assist Baby TZ as this BXQ sure to come in.
Orb will fall. And Baby TZ has no utility for this one. Hunter's Fury shut down. A one-way popped. It's something to play off of. Ginny takes down Giuliano. Baby TZ there as well. It's only Mimi. Try and make this one happen, and it's looking undoable. Already a bit wounded, but kill found. 1 versus 3. The player's isolated on site. Time knows her biggest issue. And interfaces Baby TZ, but now she has a plant. 1 versus 2. Can Mimi make it happen? A flash still up. She'll swing around the corner and isolate a duel. But Alyssa turns the flash, finds the kill, and again, keeps her squad alive.
X10 keeping the hope here. For all the fans maybe watching, getting a little bit late at night. But X10 making it happen at the final hour. I mean, just a shock that they even made it to this tournament from any with Alter Ego being so dominant in the region for so long. They found the upset. Now a chance to really get things going here up against G2. That was a really solid round for them, for Ginny finding the kill in halls. And the site anchoring from Baby TZ and Polly on the opposite side has been fantastic. The one-ways have just been so frustrating for G2 to deal with, and now they're holding hands over on their B main.
Let's play.
G2, though, I don't think that's supposed to go there.
No, that's a lineup. You just haven't seen it. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
You learn something new every
Well,
day.
yeah, because you pick it up and then you throw it actually to the correct position is the idea. And the other team was like, I just hear this orb rattling around. What's going on? Look at this, though. Alyssa's traded out by Mimi as G2 try to speed things up over onto the A site.
Oh, Op is here. Muffin has a dash activated, but Mimi for another 3 kills. She's doing everything right now for G2. And they should be able to get this plant down on A. Rotations so far behind out of X10.
Oh, big problems here. Baby TZ, light armor, and a Bulldog, too. You have no flashes or any initiating utility to get you back onto the site. X10 guessed wrong with those side anchors. Mimi's been opening them up with a 3K already in the round. And a chance to swing back into the team. Mary finds 1, Mary finds 2. G2 take the series.
This is their home. Back on land. G2 goes in. Look incredible. Not allowing their opponents to break the double digits on a single map. And now a date with Cloud9 in the upper semi.
Oh, everybody wanted this. You know, everybody likes this. We get to see a long anticipated matchup, multiple years in the waiting for that matchup, but we can't get there before we just sing the praises of Mimi. What a performance out of her. She's completely changing her role. Sage on Icebox, the KO here finishes the game. 24 kills, 11 deaths. Absolutely smurfing on the server.
And in Mary's very first game in a big LAN, she performs, makes a complete pivot onto the chamber, and looks incredible. And you can see the crowd is loving it. What a moment for the 2 new players of G2 integrating into this core and having their opportunity to shine.
Great stuff out from them. Of course, X10 journey not over just yet. Moved down into the bracket and had some bright moments themselves, right? Like Polly had some insane clutches in this one. I think just sort of unlocked a lot of things that may be a little bit too late, but G2 gonna take their bow in front of the home crowd here in Berlin, Germany. You heard the chants all day long, right? Like the crowd definitely has picked out their favorites in this tournament, and you're looking at them on your screen right now.
Yeah, hear a smattering of the X10 fans still in the audience, but G2, at the end of the day, this is their home turf, and I imagine the players are feeling excellent. You talked about that matchup. We've all been waiting, but the players too, both those on G2 and Cloud9 have gotten me so much confidence against facing the other. Both have been so incredibly excited. What a moment for them to earn that spot.
100%. This team feeling real good about it, right? Second seed maybe, but first seed in their minds, absolutely.
Yeah, and if you're Cloud9 now, G2 making these huge changes coming in, you can't really know what to expect with this squad. And with them getting ready for that matchup, I imagine it turns to X10 now. They have a day here.
Oh, look at that! Back at home for Mary. The watch party is supporting from across the world. Oh, that just brings warmth to my heart. You know, like we finally got an international event for Game Changers, right? We finally got that now too. All of our players here in person, but we couldn't get all the fans here. But we know you're all watching around the world. You just got a taste. That's just heartwarming.
Yeah, and I mean for those folks at home, seeing Mary perform here on this stage, she's one of the very few Bahraini players in Valorant competing at this level, and it's super cool. And you have a chance to vote in the poll. It's over about there, and
Under
Mimi one of those options.
Mimi, look, I'm sorry. I could vote for you. I'm going to vote for the G2 Mimi. I think Mary is honestly, all the players on G2 good, but Mimi standing out from the crowd here, especially on Breeze.
Yeah, if I had to put one in there, I'd say it would have to be Mimi for my in-zone MVP, but you guys get to have your say, and until then, we get a little break. The desk to break things down on the other side.
And that was a 2-0 for G2 Gozen. I'm Yingsu, and I'm back on the desk with Athena and Kakuka. 2-0 for both of the big titans coming out of NA and EMEA. It is pretty fitting they're going to face each other, but before we get to that, Kakuka, what a convincing close to the map as well for G2.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I have to say that for the side of X10, I'm very happy because some of the things that we talked about, like Muffin stepping up a little bit more right at the end, you know, those things were definitely there, but as you said, Yinsu, they're the titans, they're one of the ones to beat, and you know, in the end, we're going to get the match that we expected to get on day one and maybe sometime in the final later.
Yeah, I mean, G2 really showed us why they're considered the titans this game. I think that they really managed to pull a lot of things out and kind of prove it to X10 that, like, hey, we're here to play. I think X10 definitely started getting it more towards the end of both of these games, which kind of sucks, because if they had adopted just a little bit faster, they definitely would have gone a lot closer of a game here.
I love the fact that Mimi keeps performing. I think that she is going to be our first certified Lanimo, especially because of the performance that she had been having in Game Changers. Again, from Series 2 to Series 3, she dropped over 40 ACS. She was dropping in every single category. And now she's coming in, playing KO for the first time, just filling in for the team, also swapping to that stage. And now she can do anything. She feels unstoppable. On the side of X10, I think that it's also complicated to be putting on the numbers. I admire their resilience because it is very hard to keep your head in the game when you're in like a 5-11, you know?
Yeah, they definitely held on to something towards the end there. They were getting the rounds that they definitely could have just lost all confidence, lost all momentum, but they actually ended up doing it really, really well. But at the end of the day, G2 just going crazy here. We see Mimi going off, getting these kills, kind of doing the aim training, you know, the aim lab shootout that she was doing before definitely paid out here. She was, like, as Ender said, kind of smurfing in the server, and I think at the end of the day, G2 definitely just showed that they were a lot more composed and a lot more ready for this match.
Oh yeah, completely. Another cool stat that we need to mention is the fact that Juliana is such an important part for the team. We were talking about and surprised about the Reina. I want to see it more in the future. Definitely keep bringing in those changes. You want to see it in every single map. I'm kind of sad that we only got to see 2, but it's very fun to watch it perform. In every single round that she died first, G2 was not able to convert it, even though on those 4v5 situations they still had a chance. If Juliana wasn't there, if that thinking mind that you were talking about, Athena, wasn't there in the round to play with them, things got complicated.
Yeah, and I gotta say, we talk about a lot of teams go through the role changes. We were a little bit worried, have they had enough time? They spoke about it themselves. This is the right thing to do. Are you guys on board with this now? Do you understand why they made those changes?
I'm definitely on board. I think these changes played out amazingly well for them. I think they definitely, like, solidified themselves in their roles, and it just showed today.
Yeah, it did indeed. And Mimi, debut on KO. She's in for a chance for the MVP of the match, of course. We do have the poll results here for you guys, so we can have a look to the
Finally, I can agree with Twitter on something.
Yeah, the InZone fan poll result you have here, 66% for Mimi, but also Mimi completely deserved it, but I do want to give a shout out to Glance. What a series for her.
Especially right off the bat. If you take a look at G2, of course, she's not part of the core, and in some of the cases, if you look at the stats, she's going to be at the bottom. But the fact that just on the first round, she got that 4K. On the third round, she already had her ultimate to play around. She gave so many things to her teammates all over the way. I'm very happy with that.
Her impact frags were just amazing. And she is the newest change to the roster, so I think she kind of, like, fit in perfectly there. And I think that, like, it was a great decision for Glance. And she's not necessarily in the role that does get those kills, but she did her job. She got the impact kills, and she really just did, like, a solid job of her role.
It's the Zoomers. I feel like Mimi is like the boomer being like, hey, I'm going to show you what I can do. But Glance and Mary, it doesn't even look like that's their first ever, you know, big LAN event like this.
I think it's the impact that we were talking about of when you have experience within your teammates, what they can give you. I was just hearing something in my ear, and I was like, oh.
No, it's all good, because speaking of boomers, here's Golden Boy, and he's standing by with Giuliano in the Verizon post-match interview.
Thank you. Thank you, I think. I want to, yep. Anyway, of course, I'm here with the one and only Giuliano. You know, they asked me who I wanted to talk to, and I just had to talk to you. You're a legend in the space. It's a pleasure to be able to chat with you here. How did that feel? How did it feel going up against X10 there on the stage? There's so many of the people in the crowd, you know, cheering you guys on.
Yeah, I mean, this is our house, right?
Ah, I like that. I like
Yeah,
that.
it felt really good, actually.
Yeah. No, of course. And going into Icebox, something that stood out right away. You guys were bringing out the Fade Rays, which I know that this was a point of contention for you guys when you faced off Guild last time. Did you feel like you needed to make changes? Is this like what we should be expecting, or was this you testing something out in an official match here against an opponent you felt confident against?
No, I mean it was just a comp that we tried doing during our prep for this tournament, and honestly, it was like the comp that we were stomping everyone on, and we went with it.
Yeah, the comp you're stomping with. I get it. I like it. I like it. Did you have any concerns about X10 though going into it? Because it felt like in the beginning they were showing some life. They were holding their own whenever they needed to, and then you guys started to run away with it. Were there concerns on the initial portion of that game against X10?
I think it was like initially because, it's very hard to know if teams have changed anything, what's their prep for this tournament and such. So we were like just feeling out the map, kind of how they were playing. And eventually we realized, well, they're playing heavy A, and we started abusing their mid and B side. So I think that was just the main point. Like, they were shooting hard, but we were also running into stacks. Yeah. But it's kind of our play style. Like, we figure out a lot how to play and how to counter. If you can't counter, then we'll
So you have C9 White coming up next. This is the matchup everyone's been looking forward to. Yeah. I mean, this is it, right? Yeah. For you guys in the EMEA, it's time for you guys to show that, this whole time you're the most dominant team. C9 White, same thing there as well. What are your thoughts about that match?
I think it's going to be fun. I mean, I've had rivalry with CLG Red before for such a long time, and I mean, we won a couple of times.
Okay,
so I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I'm excited, and I think it's going to be a really good game. No matter what.
Yeah, I think everyone is excited as well, and I can't wait to watch it myself. Well, Juliana, I want to thank you so much, and congratulations on your win. Looking forward to seeing you in the next match. But that's going to do it for us here. But for now, let's actually take a look at the Prime Gaming post-match highlights of that last game and see how G2 were able to walk away with that 2-0 victory.
X10, they are the Titan Slayers of APAC, and they face yet another Titan, this time from EMEA. But this is G2's home turf, and do we believe in another upset?
Find a shot, but G2 just wants to bite. Petra swings forward, grabs 3, and Mary is there for the last.
What a start for this team here. Another day at the office.
G2, 13-4, make a statement in their opener on LAN.
You're good. You're great. You're great. You're great. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're good. You're insane. You're insane. In the head. True.
It's going to be Mimi for 2. Make it a 3rd. You cannot get past her.
She gets a kill. She can just pop on out, but she'll stick around for more. 2nd and the dismiss. Easy
Nice! Let's go. And to continue the push as Mimi is there to trade everything on through. A triple for her. And that round over before it started. G2 take the series.
This is their home. Back on land. G2 goes in. Look incredible. Not allowing their opponents to break the double digits on a single map.